TFA fam, what is up? We're back. We're on to week 6. Season's just flying by. Flying by. We're almost halfway to the fantasy playoffs? I mean, my goodness. But hope everybody survived the fantasy football version of the Red Wedding, like from Game of Thrones, with all the injuries this week. Feel for people because there's people out there that had Anthony Richardson, Justin Jefferson, James Conner, A-Chain, some combination of those guys. And we're feeling great. Probably sitting close to like 4-1, 5-0, just feeling great about themselves. And now they just get their whole world taken out from under them.
Like Michael here.
Lost A-Chain and Conner. Yeah. Feel for you. But hey, hopefully they come back because there's been some reports that Justin Jefferson's in no hurry to return or anything like that. So I don't know. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not something that he just sits out the rest of the year. They just shut him down, kind of like Cooper Kupp last year. So Cooper Kupp was a lot more serious. Anyways, AP, what's up, guys? Got to be early and always enjoy the streams. Appreciate you, AP. Choose 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, and a flex. Waddle, Devonta, Marquise Brown, Gabe Davis, Derrick Henry, Mostert, Madison, and Warren. So the wide receivers.
I'm going to go Waddle and Smitty. And then, okay, wait. Never mind. I didn't see we needed running back too. So first 3 receivers and Mostert for me.
Yeah. Who'd have thought we'd be starting Mostert over Derrick Henry? Well, maybe us.
definitely us.
Yeah. Will, pick 2, Devonta, David Montgomery, or Joe Mixon.
I'm sitting Mixon.
I really think this is the game that Devonta's going to bounce back, eh? Well, that's what you said on the show, or on the wide receiver show. It's got to come, right? Like, he had that really solid, I think, week 1, good week 2, and then A.J. Brown complained, and then ever since then, like, he's gotten nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a mixture of that and the fact that Mixon had, 29 touches last week and didn't crack 100 yards. Like, he's just been super, super inefficient with his touches. So,
Yeah, doesn't even have a RB1 week under his belt yet. Closest he got was last week with his 13 fantasy points, where he finished his RB14. Yeah,
it's been rough. So with Mixon's limited ceiling, I'd rather just take the swing on Smitty.
Yeah, I don't disagree. What's good, fellas? Say it. Out of Algier, Roshan, Deonta, DeMarcado, or Jeff Wilson, who would you pick up? I had Mixon, Ford, and Saquon. But do I trust Saquon or Ford's matchups? Thanks. I mean, I think it's Roshan. Yeah. I mean, it is. We'll have to see because he has yet to clear protocol, but there's a few examples this year of guys that didn't clear protocol until Thursday. Actually, Luke Musgrave, who I believe also played on Thursday night when he suffered his concussion, wasn't cleared until the following Thursday. So I still feel like there's a pretty good shot that he's going to get cleared. And if he does, he's a really good play. But he's also just, I think, a really solid long-term add to of all these guys. So, yeah. And Michael. Lost Achane, Connor after losing Chubb. Start 2, Javonte Ford, Foreman, Jeff Wilson, Cardinals running backs are on waivers, and Henry backup, Tajay Spears. Also needed flex. So Javonte was a full participant, cleared to go, no injury designation heading into this game against the Chiefs. Not expected to have any limited or restrictions in terms of his workload, but it is tough because, I mean, you have McLaughlin now playing as well as he is, and then Samaje Perine, and then Ford. I absolutely hate his matchup. But
it's going to be Ford and Foreman for me, especially if Roshan does not clear concussion protocol. He was a DNP today, so we'll have to see what kind of practice designation he gets for tomorrow.
I mean,
I guess
yeah.
if
I mean, if Roshan's out, Foreman is definitely like Foreman would be a top 20 running back for me. With just the opportunity that lay before him,
yeah.
and then yeah, I probably go forward and hopefully he can catch some passes. It just worries me because it doesn't sound like Deshaun Watson may play, and if he doesn't, it could get really ugly.
Oh, it's definitely not going to be pretty. But at least out of this group, you can look at him and at least bank on volume. We have seen him involved in the passing game as well. And Javante, like you said, he's splitting reps with two other running backs. Jeff Wilson, don't really know what to expect. Although I would say if Roshan does clear concussion protocol, at that point I probably would play Wilson uh over Deonta Foreman just because of the offenses in which they reside. Think you could make a case where you could see Wilson rip off a long one even on some limited touches. So um and then Tyjae Spears would be more interesting if we could project a situation here where the Titans are playing from behind. Obviously, Spears scored the touchdown last week when they were not playing from behind. But you feel better about him whenever you can project negative game script for the Titans. So it's going to be Ford and Foreman for me if Roshan does not clear protocol. If he does, I would go Ford and Wilson, and then the flex I'm going to go Laporta. Always and forever.
Yeah, he's been awesome. So I think for me, I would go Ford, and then if Roshan does clear protocol, I would go Amari DiMarcardo. I think is who I would go with. Of the Cardinals running backs, I think that's how I would play it. If he doesn't clear, then it's Foreman pretty easily.
Yeah.
Should I drop Luke Musgrave for Curtis Samuel? Yeah, if you have another tight end, yes, I think you can do that. Especially with Musgrave on bye, it's not like you have to worry about someone running out to pick him up or anything like that. So,
Right.
Andrea, hi, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hope you're doing well. Dan, 12 team full PPR. T Higgins if he plays or Downs.
Oh. I mean, if T. Higgins plays, I'm going to play Higgins over Josh Downs. I think it would be really dumb if he did play, considering they have their bye week coming up next week. But um, we talked about Josh Downs on the waiver video that we just dropped the wide receiver ranking video we just dropped a couple hours ago. We both like Josh Downs this week, especially with Minshew under center. But I would not be playing Downs over Higgins if Higgins is a full go.
Especially with how good Joe Burrow finally looked last week. Looked like the offense is back, and that is huge. So yes, if T Higgins clears, which he was a limited participant today, so that is something, especially on a Wednesday. So if he does play, then yeah, I think you got to go T Higgins, despite how really I think good spot Josh Downs is in. Raylan, what's up, boys? How we doing? We are doing well here.
Fantastic.
Quentin, Gabe Davis, or
Ooh,
KJ Osborne.
give me KJ here, especially if Jordan Addison is going to be limited in practice today with an ankle injury that kind of seems to be popping up out of nowhere. I mean, it doesn't seem like it should be a big deal, but if we get limited participation from Jordan Addison all week, then I would go Osborne here.
I think I would go Gabe Davis. I'm just not all that excited about KJ Osborne.
I mean, I think if the upside play certainly resides with Davis. The only thing that would worry me in that matchup is if they just jump out to a quick 21-0 lead, 28-0 lead, that sort of thing, which is well
It is
within the
fair, and
realm.
Daniel Jones isn't looking like he's going to play, and so if he doesn't play, it could get really. I mean, they've already looked terrible, and
Yeah.
it really could be an absolute beatdown where they don't even really need to throw the ball that much. So I think that's fair. Yeah.
Although having said that, Gabe Davis could still go 3 for 102. You know what I mean? But because obviously, if it's going to be a beatdown, they have to get there somehow. But obviously, Gabe Davis would be at risk of just missing out and throwing a complete dud. So I think that's one of those ones where you take it like on a case by case basis. Like if you go up against someone and then that's a 1 o'clock game. But like let's say you go up against someone on Thursday night and there's a DJ Moore type of situation where you're now all of a sudden down 50 before your games even start. Then I think you could throw Gabe Davis in there, just kind of like hope and pray. But if you're within striking distance, I would go Osborne. Just safer play.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think there's more volume there for him as well.
Yeah.
Pacheco or Mostert?
Mostert, baby.
It's going to be Mostert, but pains me because this is such an elite matchup for Isaiah Pacheco against this Denver defense that's been destroyed by running back so far. So the matchup is there. I'm assuming you have somebody else you're starting. That's why you can only start one of these. If not, let us know because I'm curious. Because I would love to be able to play both of these guys if possible. Crab Gravy. Always love to see when Crab Gravy is here.
Correct.
What is up? How are you doing? AP, I was able to trade Justin Jefferson for Pollard, Marcus Brown, Evan Ingram. Thoughts? Like, that is like a home run. Home run. Like, just out of the ballpark.
Yeah, I like it.
Because, like I said, at the very least, you're talking about 4 weeks of no Justin Jefferson. And I think it's probably more likely he's out further than that. And, like, the best hope he could be back, like, week 14. I could see them holding him out through the bye. But there's no incentive. Now we're getting, like, the Kirk Cousins, like, could possibly be traded, which I think is real. I think of a team like the Jets would be the most logical because he's a free agent after this year because you still have Aaron Rodgers for multiple seasons. I've seen other people throw out some different names that I'm just like, no. Like, they're not taking on any sort of long term. I think just for this year, I think you could do that. And so if they start to do that, then it's then I would really be shocked even if Justin Jefferson already came back. So this was a home run. And even if Justin Jefferson was healthy, this is still a really good haul back. Like I would probably be a little more hesitant, but like it's still a really good ad. And now you're talking about somebody that you lost for at least 4 weeks and you just got all of that in return for it. Like that's a big win. I don't know how the other person who made that trade could even feel like they could afford to do that because that's a lot of equity to give up, but good on you. KD, Addison or Gabe Davis? This is Addison for me. I concur, Raylan. Make sure y'all like the stream. Just hit the little button. It takes 1 second out of your day. We really appreciate it. That's really all we ask for. And if you're not already, hit that subscribe button. That's really all we need. Gus Edwards or Tajay Spears here, half point PPR.
I know Zach Moss ripped up this Titans run defense that we previously thought of as being elite, but I'm not going to go back to the well on that one. I'd rather take the chance with Tajay Spears and just kind of hope that he rips off a long one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Spears here. What's your thoughts on Ramondre rest of season? So this is tough because the Patriots have the second easiest remaining schedule for running backs. So there's a lot of good matchups coming for him, but he has been so incredibly bad this year. It really, and some of it's recency bias because the first 2 weeks he did put up back-to-back 15-point performances in weeks 1 and 2, and one of those was against a really good run defense in Philadelphia. The problem has been he's not been involved in the passing game as he was last year. Last year he almost had a 20% target share. He only has a 9.8% target share this year, and it's killing him. And so Like that's not helping. He's not efficient at all. He's 52nd in yards created per touch. He just hasn't been very good. A 2.7 true yards per carry is so incredibly bad. Like I cannot go in and tell you how bad that is. And so he's just been so bad. But I also kind of feel like he could be like a kind of a sneaky buy low because their schedule has been pretty brutal to this point. Philly, Miami, the Jets defenses, which is elite. The Saints are as a very good defense. Dallas, like they've had a really tough start to the schedule, and so there are some easier matchups coming, and I think you could get them for like a pack of bubble gum or something like right now from somebody.
Yeah.
And if I had them, like I'm holding on to them because there's nothing somebody's going to offer you that probably would be worth of value. So that's kind of where I see him right now. I still think there is some upside there with him and where they could kind of get this thing turned around a little bit. But yeah, he has been truly dreadful the last 3 weeks, and it hasn't really been close.
Yeah, if I'm buying him, it has to be on the cheap. Like I don't want 80% of his value, 70. Like it's going to be gutter basement prices if I'm buying him.
Yeah. Will Detroit, Atlanta, or Dallas defense this week? I'm damn sure not Dallas. And it's like I've said with Dallas, you can drop Dallas. Like Dallas's schedule, the rest of the way is not good. Is not great. It's pretty tough the rest of the season. And so, because like they have the Chargers, then then the Rams, then the Eagles, then the Giants, which is a good matchup at Carolina. But then after that, like I've said, I think we talked about this last week: Seattle, Philly, Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit to close out. Like they're not a defense you even need to hold. But for this week,
Is Kansas City available? Will that's a team that I would want to.
I think I would go Detroit, mainly because Detroit. The Bucks' offensive line is really, really bad, and the Lions obviously being able to get pressure is huge. Their defense has been much better this year, and so I think I would probably go the Lions of the group that you have here.
Yeah, if Casey's not available, I would go. I would go Detroit, and we could always see Baker turn into Baker. Especially under pressure. So Casey isn't available. I would go Detroit.
Noel, would you drop Josh Reynolds for Deonta Foreman, or wait and see if Roshan plays full point PPR? I'm gonna say no. I wouldn't drop him.
Without knowing your running back situation, like I guess if you're like in dire need, you could, because I don't think people are going to be running out to snag Josh Reynolds, despite how solid he's been playing for the first few weeks. But you know, like I said, without knowing your running back situation, it's in play if you need him. Because I think even if Roshan plays, I could see Deonta Foreman at least getting like 8 or so touches. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's going to be Roshan in a complete 90% of the running back touches type of role. So I think he would still cede a couple of those to Foreman. So if you really need hampered by injury, bye weeks, even though the bye week shouldn't be too awful for you, but if you need it, I think you could. But in general, I'd rather have Reynolds the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I'll say this: the Vikings have actually been pretty good against the run. It's been the pass that's really killed them. So that is something that I would keep in mind as well when it comes to really either one of these guys. Really, Foreman becomes like a low end RB2 because of volume, because there's nobody really that would take touches away from him, and so that's where I think that he would be an interesting play. But I also think there's a scenario because he's not much of a pass catching running back, where maybe if Travis Homer is healthy, then maybe he checks in and just kind of plays that pass catching role where Foreman only gets first and second down. And then when you have Justin Fields, who has the ability to run and has been throwing the ball as well as he has, that it just may be a limited opportunity. So that's why I don't really want to drop Josh Reynolds. I think Josh Reynolds can be an effective piece to this offense throughout the rest of the season. And I don't know if you're really not going to be able to say. I mean, Foreman was a healthy scratch every week until these injuries happen. So KD again lost Achane and Connor to IR, picked up DeMarcado and Ingram off waivers, thinking I should try to formulate a trade for RB2 or ride it out with these backups. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot for either one of them because nobody, like most people don't even, like 95% of people don't even know who Amari DeMarcado is. And so, and then with Ingram, I don't think a lot of people even know who he is. Like he's really been kind of irrelevant. And so I don't think you could be able to get a whole lot. I think you're better off just since if you already have if you have both of them already, just hold on to them and see how this operates over the weekend. There's a lot. I have never expected there'd be so much buzz on Twitter between two players named that have never really done a lot. I mean, all day today it was the Keontae Ingram and Amari DeMarcado debate. You even have Adam Schefter out here, telling us what their depth chart reads today, and like everybody lost their mind off that. Like I don't know, but there's a real scenario where these guys just play in a full on committee, and neither one of them are really all that, And I think that is there. So I would hold on to them. Your best bet would to do that, and if you really wanted to strike on it, would be to hope that one of them has a really good game and then flip them after that. That would be the best way to go here. But yes, I'm still a big proponent for Amari DeMarcado for sure. I think he's the better running back. I mean, Keontae Ingram has looked terrible so far in 2 years that he's been there and has done absolutely nothing. I think he's got like 40 carries and just over 100 rushing yards, and then DeMarcado has 20 carries and almost 100 yards and a score. So yeah. Anyway, Raylan PPR Fields or Lamar this week. Also, which one rest of season? I'm going to go Justin Fields.
I'm going to go Fields as well.
For both.
Pains me to say.
This week and rest of season.
I think I still want to go Lamar rest of season. Like that's just an offense that's been unlucky with drops and that sort of thing. Like Lamar hasn't looked bad as a quarterback. He just has not been getting any help. Like last week alone, I think they had 3 drops in the end zone. Like three catches that had they come down with it would have been unquestioned touchdowns. Not trying to say like, oh, if he was sprinting down the sideline, if he would have caught it, maybe he would have got no. I literally mean in the end zone. I think there were 2 for sure, and I think there was a third one, if I'm remembering correctly. So I would still lean Lamar rest of season, but I was wrong on Fields last year, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, for the record, I mean, Lamar has not been bad at all. I mean, he wasn't great this past week, but prior to that, he was QB 9, 3, and 4 with 23, 28, and 28 fantasy point production. So he obviously hasn't been bad. It's just like Justin Fields the last 2 weeks has got there a lot. Most of it has been through the air, and that is something that we haven't really seen from him, obviously. And then last week it was somewhat encouraging to see. He almost had 60 yards rushing as well on 11 rushes. So yeah, I think it's going to be close between these two. But if Justin Fields can continue to throw the ball the way that he has, I mean, his schedule one is way better than what the Ravens is. And then what always worries me is how good the Ravens defense is. And so it allows game script to kind of dictate where they don't really have to throw the ball as much. They don't have to open things up as much. Where Fields isn't going to be that way. Their defense is going to grow terrible. And then they're once again talking about just selling off a bunch of pieces of their defense like they did last year. So to get more draft capital. So yeah. Brandon, Kyron Laporta or Kamara, Mostert, and Ingram.
Man.
I would want the Kamara side. I know it's tough because your boy Laporta is involved in this, and he's been fantastic. But I mean, Kamara is going to continue to see the type of role that he has, though he wasn't as efficient with it. But still, and then Mostert, at least for the next 4 or 5 weeks, is going to still have a pretty decent role within the offense. And then Ingram has actually, started to get a little bit more involved, started to show some signs of life recently. So that has been also a positive thing as well. But I mean, really, outside of last week, I mean, he's been almost a top 5 tight end every single week. So he's been super productive. He's been consistent, and so yeah, I think I would take the Kamara side.
My silence says everything.
Johnny, PPR, very frustrated with how my season is going. Every week, just one player on my opponent has a crazy boom game.
Mhm.
Would you also believe that I'm also the highest scoring team in my league, FML? Like, just
Rough.
like the most
That's
frustrating
why
things.
I was gonna say that's why in your fantasy playoffs, the number 6 seed should always be reserved for the team that is not in yet and has the highest scoring team. Do record, do division, however it's set up for your fantasy leagues. But that number 6 spot should always be reserved for the team with the most points that's not yet in.
I like that. I think that's always I think that's really smart. I think that's the way it should be. Like I've seen years where like the team that had the number one record had the least amount points scored in the entire league. Like I'm like, it's all luck. Like when you're actually playing somebody and
Yeah,
how things turn out for you, right? It has no
right.
bearing because your team was good, and so I've seen those things happen quite a bit. And it's yes, I 100% believe that's the way that it should be, but that's the worst.
Or all play record. All play record is another way you can look at it. I know that's probably not as readily available on your typical redraft apps as it is on my fantasy league, but points scored incredibly easy to figure out, and you just plug them into the 6 seed.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I also think you're probably gonna have some variance change for you. So, if you just run cold where you're playing somebody every week
Yeah,
that Jamar week and guys like that every single week. If you're still the highest scoring team in the league, I think things will turn around for you. You should be okay. So,
yeah.
Super Saiyan B challengers got offered Bijan, Aaron Jones, and DK for CD and Diggs. If you got offered Bijan, Aaron Jones, and DK Metcalf for CD and Diggs, I'm taking that.
Wait, which side do you want?
I would take the Bijan side.
Man, I just hate Aaron Jones so much. I don't know why. I've never been, but CeeDee Lamb has obviously been pretty disappointing as well. So I think if you need the running back help, the Bijan side is obviously the side you want to go with. But and I'm assuming that's the case if that's what you're getting for CD and Diggs. And Diggs has obviously been really good, but he does have a couple of those games every single year where he just like it's fine. He'll go 6 for 77, but like it's not not what you expect out of someone who you drafted with the capital that you took Diggs with. So this is one of those situations like that's team dependent for me. Like if you need running back, I would take the Bijan side. DK is a nice consolation prize dropping down from CD and Diggs, but um, that's how I would handle that one.
Yeah, I guess the question too would be like, where are you gonna have like who do you have now at running back, and who would you have like who are you gonna have left at wide receiver after you make a
Yeah.
trade? Our ma'am Tam, hello, how are you
hmm
doing? Please pick three: AJ Brown, Nico Pittman, or Lockett.
AJ Brown locked in, Pittman locked in, and then I will go Lockett.
I'm going Nico over Lockett.
That's fine. They're both really close for me.
AP Chiefs, Commanders, Ravens, or Patriots defense.
Chiefs.
I'm gonna go Baltimore. It's just with the Broncos, the offense hasn't been the problem. It's been the defense. And so that's what concerns me a little bit, but with the Chiefs defense. But not good at fantasy is Javante Dropple in 8-man league for any Ricardo, Osborne, Wilson, or Roshan. I'm gonna say no.
No, not. I wouldn't do that in an 8-man.
Should I put in a waiver for Howe or Stroud? Had Richardson, need him. I'm 2-3. I picked up Russell Wilson. Other two quarterbacks don't come off waivers till Friday, though.
I mean, is this a 2 QB league? Because I would just ride with. I know I just said Chiefs D would be the one I would stream, but I would just ride with Russ. Um, I'm assuming this has to be a 2 QB, right? If maybe it's like an 8 team super flex. Unless you just don't realize that Russ plays on Thursday. But obviously if those guys don't come off the waivers until Friday, you're stuck with Russ anyway. But if we're just picking between the two,
Give me Stroud.
I do want Stroud rest of season over Sam Howell. But in this matchup, I think I would take Howell over Stroud.
Darius.
Especially if Tankdale's going to be out.
Trade Brian Robinson for Josh Downs or DK Metcalf. Well, it's a range. I mean, it's going to be, I would want DK Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel pretty confident with doing that, unless you just have no other running backs. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely doing that for DK Metcalf. Manny, pick 2, Mixon, Monty, White.
I know I kind of shit on Mixon, but out of this group, I'm gonna go Mixon and Monty.
Put in reverse. Yeah, you got to go Mixon here. I mean, I hate Rashad White this week. I'm not a fan of
Every
him.
week.
And yeah, pretty much. But I'm definitely not a fan of Rashad White in this matchup against the Lions. The Lions defense, their run defense, I mean, we've said it a lot, but the run defense is really good. I don't really typically want to play running backs against the Lions. And then with JT, I don't know what to expect from him. So yes, I think it's the first two there, Manny, Mixon, and Monty. Cohen. Trade Pickens and James Conner for Devonta Smith. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with James Conner being out for at least the next 4 weeks.
Yep.
Start Henry or Taylor this week. This is going to be Derrick Henry.
Raymond, why do you make us say Derrick Henry's name? It's gonna be Derrick Henry, but I wish it wasn't.
Tam with another one. Pick 3: Ridley, Nico, AJ Brown, or Reynolds.
First 3.
Yeah. Quentin, Saints, or Falcons.
Saints.
I agree. Not good at fantasy. Chase for Keenan if I'm trying to avoid the bye. No.
No. I mean, I don't think it's crazy because of how well Keenan has been playing, but I wouldn't want to do that just to avoid a bye week.
Yeah. AP. Hard hitting question here. Pizza Hut or Domino's?
Oh boy. This is tough. If I'm man. The issue with me now in Pizza Hut, I haven't had it for years, but the last time I had it, I just shit my brains out. It did not end well. And Domino's is always solid. It's but if you take me back to like 99, Pizza Hut was the best. That was the place to be, if back in like grade school era. But right now, the juice would not be worth the squeeze with Pizza Hut, although the stuffed crust pizza was incredible back in the day. But I would go Domino's. Although if I'm picking, it would be Papa J's. I go Papa John's over Domino's.
I agree. That's what I was gonna say. I'm not a huge fan anymore of Pizza Hut. Like they changed their recipe, and it just hasn't been the same. Domino's is fine, but yes, I think Papa John's is probably the best one of the group. Their crust is much better. I don't know. I just think their pizza's better. So
what's your go-to topping?
you should just go pepperoni. But
Basic
uh,
basic ass
supreme,
bitch.
supreme would be. Usually I would get a
Okay.
supreme, but yeah,
Okay.
you just said topping. You didn't say pizza. I just assumed you meant what's your favorite topping, like of all of them.
Well,
You know. Anyway, yeah, supreme was definitely the go-to.
okay.
Though there for the longest time, people, there was the debate about pineapple on pizza, and I can't
Elite.
lie, I've had some good ones where it's
Dude,
not bad.
we sorry. We actually just found, well, not found, but we finally went to check out this local pizza joint by us, and that's what I got was like a Hawaiian, but it also had like it was like pulled pork, bacon, pineapple, phenomenal. So good. Expensive though, so we won't be back for a while, but it was good.
Also, if done right, Casey's Pizza, which you don't even know you probably never don't know what Casey's Pizza is, but it is
Mhm.
a gas station. But their pizza is on point. So people in here that are more Midwest know what Casey's is, and it's
Oh, it's a
very good.
chain.
I mean, it's a gas station, but they obviously have pizza. They sell pizza inside and everything else, and their breakfast pizza is really good. Their bacon breakfast pizza is phenomenal. But yes, Kyle, KJ Osborne or Michael Thomas and Ertz or Ferguson. Pick one wide receiver, one tight end. I'm going to go with KJ Osborne on this one, and then I'm going to go with Ferguson.
Two. Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with Ferguson as well.
Ashton,
Appreciate you,
sorry I'm
Kyle.
late. Hockey is back. I'll let it slide this time. Just you know, you're better than Walito. I don't even know where Walito's at anymore. Like he's fallen off the face of the earth. Says he's busy. I don't want to hear it. But
It's a low bar.
yeah, Fu Yang lost. JJ start. KJ Atwell, Zay Flowers, or Palmer.
Zay.
Yes, and then DST, Jags, Raiders, or Seattle.
Jags, Raiders, or Seattle.
Like it's not Seattle. Like it's Cincinnati. Not the way the Seattle looks now, or the way Cincinnati looks now. Like I think the Raiders are probably kind of a decent streaming option this week
Yeah.
because of how bad New England's looked. But it also feels kind of like a trap, too.
Yeah. Having said that, I would rank it Raiders, Seattle, Jacksonville.
Okay. I would go Jags, Raiders, Seattle. I have Bijan and wide receivers are Chase, St. Brown. Oh, okay. Yeah, Chris Olave by flex. This was the one with Pacheco. Oh, wait.
Mm.
Flex. Would you start Pacheco over Olave?
Mm.
Because I think I would.
I think it's safer. Yeah. Plus matchup as well. Oh my lord. We are running behind.
Joey, appreciate the super chat. 3-2, 12 team PPR. Trevor
T-Law.
Lawrence, CMC, Kyron, Adams, Cup, little Kittle. Can't speak tonight. Ridley, bench, Judy, Sutton, Dell, Flowers, Hunt, Wilson. Should I look to trade for buys at quarterback? Don't have to worry about buys. And I think you're fine at quarterback. I know Trevor Lawrence has kind of struggled a little bit here and there, but I think better days are ahead.
Obviously you are thin at running back, right? With Achan with yeah, Achan. I'm gonna mess that up all year. With Achan, hitting IR, Wilson does become a more viable option. And I don't know if the 49ers and the Rams have the same buy. Hopefully they don't for your sake, because that is thin. That is the one area where you, if you want to look to make a trade, you can make. I would do something small. I wouldn't try and do anything massive there, just if you want to feel better about your RB3 spot. You do have some depth with Dell and Flowers, and maybe even one of the Denver wide receivers, if one of them happens to pop off, on an island game on Thursday night. If one of them has a solid outing, you could look to move one of them. But other than that, I like this. I like this team a bunch. You could also look to sell high on Kittle potentially after his game. Like, we could just see another stretch of 5 games in a row where he's getting you 6 points a game. So you can maybe look to trade Kittle, maybe drop down to like an Ingram or something like that and pick up a bench RB on top of it. But I like this team a lot. Having Adams and Cup in a 12 teamer to go along with Ridley and CMC, that's really strong.
Yeah, this is and even your bench isn't bad. I mean, that's really quality depth that most people don't
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, like I said,
I think
running back would be it.
yeah, and then Kareem Hunt would probably. I think you could drop Kareem Hunt. Like I don't think he's gonna. Depending on who's out there, if there's some quality waiver ads or waiver players out there, mainly running back, uh, you know, like if Kendra Miller's sitting out there, he had a really solid game that nobody talked about this week. Like he was kind of overshadowed by all the injuries that came about, but I mean he was pretty solid. I think he had I think it was what almost 90 total yards or something like that in that game. I know, so it was kind of in garbage time. Yeah, it was 90 total yards. Yeah. And so, but nobody really talked about that. And I think those opportunities are going to continue to be there. Like, I don't think they want to run Alvin Kamara into the ground and give him 30 touches a game. And so, I think we've always seen that New Orleans running backs they can be viable. They're the number 2 running back, and so Kendra Miller, was the RB16 last week that nobody seemed to even talk about. 4 targets, was a positive, 12 carries, 37 yards, which isn't great, but overall, it was really good. It was a really good week for Kendra Miller that nobody really, and he may be the most valuable or one of the more valuable handcuffs that are sitting out there, because I definitely think he's better than Jamal Williams, and so even when Jamal Williams comes back, so he's somebody you could look at that probably that could be sitting out there. And then the other rest of cast of characters that we've kind of talked about, Tajay Spears for sure, if he'd be sitting out there and guys like that. But I think you can drop Kareem Hunt 'cause I just don't think he has any sort of ceiling whatsoever.
Rico Dowdle. I don't know if you mentioned him or not, but that's a handcuff I'd rather have over Kareem.
Yeah. True Teller, I'm still stuck on doing this trade. Stevenson for Godwin. My wide receivers are Hill, St. Brown, Osborne, Michael Thomas, Pickens.
I mean, if Stevenson bounces back, he's obviously going to be the one you want long term, but it just has not looked good. Not that outside of the game before the bye week, Godwin hadn't looked great either. But I do think that he would slide into your wide receiver 3 spot, like especially with Deontay Johnson's return, like around the corner. Pickens has been he's been good, but he's been wildly inefficient. Now, whether that's can he pick a problem or whatever the case may be, but when Deontay Johnson comes back, he is going to start taking away targets. Like Pickens, like considering that Deontay Johnson hasn't been around since week 1, like Pickens target share like hasn't been like that impressive. You know what I mean? Considering that Deontay Johnson is someone who has commanded 130 to 150 targets for the past couple of seasons, but I would want Godwin here, but with having Swift, JT, Hall, Brian Robinson in a pinch is fine. I would prefer Godwin, assuming everything kind of plays out how it's playing out right now. Obviously, Kevin, you were mentioning that the Patriots have the second best fantasy schedule for running backs the rest of the season. Could that change? Obviously, but this offense just in general looks broken. It's not just the run game.
Yeah. Clap nuts.
I started laughing to myself.
Should I trade Tyreek and Pickens for Ayuk, Kyron, and Thielen?
No.
No. No. I mean, just even Tyreek alone, that's probably a no. I mean, Tyreek can win. Well, probably has won you weeks. None of these three, like this is like one of those like this is like I don't want to say they're bad players because they're not. Thielen has also been really good the last couple of weeks, but that's not going to maintain rest of season. Kyron worries the hell out of me because of his inefficiencies, but the usage is 100% there. And then Ayuk is going to be not as consistent because of the way this offense runs, and it always seems to be an odd man out. And so Tyreek, you can lock him in, and then George Pickens, I think, is still a fine like low end wide receiver 3, whether Deontay's there or not. Bad boy Brady. Flex one: Rashee Rice, Tajay Spears, or Josh Downs. Ooh.
It would be Downs, Rice, and then Spears for me.
Yeah, like I want to say Rice, but he's just not seeing, at least to this point, the snap share. His target per out run rate's been fantastic. It's like 36%. It's up there in the, upper, I think it's top 5. Actually, I think it's number 1 among all wide receivers, but it still doesn't matter if you're only seeing 5 targets a game. So it's just he's not running a lot of routes right now. And it's frustrating because he's clearly the best wide receiver they have. And so, but Josh Downs, I think with Gardner Minshew could easily see 8 to 10 targets, and I don't think you can say that for Rashee Rice. So I think you got to go Josh Downs here. Do you agree?
Appreciate you, bad boy. Yeah, I said Downs, Rice, and Spears.
That's right. That's right. It's been a long day. Okay.
So selfish.
I have CD, Chase, and Mixon on bye next week, and week wide receiver depth. Should I try to trade one of them to try to win the week, or just eat the L? I don't want to. So like I think people over worry. Don't think it's a word, but I think people worry too much about bye weeks. Like, yeah, obviously it's not ideal, but like I'm not going to make trades to my team just so just so I don't have to worry about a bye, right? I think it comes down to what the rest of your roster would look like, because I'm not actively trying to trade CeeDee Lamb because one, he's always going to get lesser value because when they're coming off a rougher week, it's just the way that it works. Recency bias is real. I'm not trading Jamar Chase under any circumstance. And so I think you could trade Mixon if you're okay at running back, but I'm not necessarily, I'm not going out to try to avoid the bye week is what I'm saying.
I think it also depends on your record as well, right? Like if you feel like you have a good team, but you're, like the guy who was talking earlier about most points scored and, sitting in a rough spot, but you need to start racking up wins to make the playoff push. I think you could consider it, but the one thing you are not doing is selling for a discount, right? Like you're not going to sell, CD for 70% of his value just so you can hopefully win that week. Because then if you don't win that week and now you just traded one of your players at a discount, it's going to look even worse.
Raylan, PPR, Flex, Collins, DeMarcado, Higgins, or Stevenson?
Higgins if he plays, Collins if he does not.
I agree. Fred, Justice Hill, or Gus Edwards? Who do you feel better about? Like the shiniest of two turds, but
do you want syphilis or gonorrhea?
I think I would go Justice Hill.
I think so too. They've been more willing to use Justice Hill as a pass catcher. He obviously has more juice than Gus Edwards does. And we did see Justice Hill, his I can't remember what the the touch split was like, but I know that we saw his involvement tick up last week, at least in terms of snaps, which is a good sign. So um, that's how I would lean there. I'm trying really hard to not overreact to what Zach Moss did to that defense last week. Um, but
And
I
what
would
matters the most to me is the pass catching involvement because this isn't a good matchup. But
right.
the numbers, anyways, as of last week, Just Hill played 55% of the snaps to 43% of Gus Edwards. But this is and he did only handle 32% of the RB rush attempts, but to Gus Edwards 55%. But then from there, it's all goes because Gus Edwards saw a 0% target share, and on the season he has a 2% target share. And then Justice Hill last week saw a 11% target share with a 24% yards per out run rate. And he is also, more importantly, the 2 minute back and the long down and distance back. So he's played 67% of the long down and distance and 2 minute snaps last week. He played 100%. So I would go with Justice Hill here. I think that's the one that I feel better about. Quentin Goff or Dobbs?
Goff.
I can't believe we're even with Josh Dobbs. Yeah, that's how you know. When Josh Dobbs has been fantasy relevant and like worthy, that's how you know this year has been fucked. I mean, really, it's that's just how you
And
know.
the fact that like Dobbs isn't just like, oh well, Colt McCoy got hurt for a couple games and Josh Dobbs just did put up 15 points last week. He kind of looked good. Nope, Dobbs has been the starter all year after being traded for a week a week before the season started, and has been more than fantasy relevant through the first 5 weeks. Having said that, I'm still going to go Goff, even though it is Goff on the road against a solid defense.
Yeah, and Amon-Ra St. Brown sounds like he should be back this week. So I know Dan Campbell said that he's probable to play, and so we will have to see if there's any of this like narrative of Goff on the road. But I mean, he was fine against. Well, no, actually, he wasn't. His 2 road games, he's actually been pretty bad. So the trend has continued against Kansas City. He put up 14 fantasy points, and then in week 4 against the Packers on the road, he put up a whopping 12 fantasy points that week. His best weeks, he was QB 6, 14, and 4 at home, and then he's been 18 and 14 on the road. So, but the problem is that Dobbs is playing the 49ers. Like, if it was a better, or 49ers, not the 49ers, the Rams, if it was a better matchup, I might be more inclined to like Joshua Dobbs, but I think I would go I'm going to go Goff here.
Yeah.
Tam, again, Superflex team pick 4, Thielen, Reynolds, Nico, DJ Moore, or AJ Brown. So AJ Brown, man. AJ Brown is a lock, then DJ Moore.
I'm going to sit Reynolds. I'm going to sit Reynolds and Nico. Or wait.
You only need to sit one.
I will sit Reynolds.
Yeah, I agree.
Reading is hard.
True Teller, need a defense. Detroit, Tampa, or New England. Atlanta, KC is not available. I tried on waivers.
Tampa.
Detroit. Oh, well. I apologize. True Teller.
John Stamos.
It's Detroit for me, for sure. Saints or Lions, D. You said the Bucs O-line is bad, but they haven't given up many sacks this year. Is that just due to small sample size? Yes. And some of the teams they face, like the Vikings, do not have a great pass rush.
The Bears.
The Bears definitely do not have a great pass rush. So some of that's just that. But we know their offensive line is not very good.
Not great. Yeah. I just pulled up ESPN. Started putting something together this year. They are 18th in pass block win rates, like middle of the road, but they are 32nd in run block win rate.
Javier, what is a reasonable trade for JT?
So I did have a follow-up question. So Javier wants to trade for JT, and this is the roster that we're working with. I mean, I think you could try and, obviously depending on the team that has JT, but you could look at, maybe pairing together Kyron or James Cook, and then maybe try and send off Goddard, sell high on Goddard if the team that you're going after needs tight end help. You can kind of start with something there. Um, then if you have to throw in like a small piece, like I wouldn't mind, maybe even potentially selling high, not necessarily selling high on Curtis Samuel, but he has had two back-to-back really solid games. So if you have to throw in a piece like that, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I think that could get it done. I think if you offered Kyron Goddard first, and then if they decline, then I think you could toss in Curtis Samuel as well, which I'm assuming you probably picked up Curtis Samuel off waivers anyway. So I think that would get it done, especially
And then I,
with
I would also throw in Brian Robinson, like if I had to as well.
like with Curtis Samuel. So 4 for 1, or you mean swap out?
Yeah, or yeah, all of it if I had to.
Simp, flex James Cook, London, or Josh Palmer. Herbert is my quarterback, full PPR. I'm going to go James Cook.
Yes.
Manny again. Pick 3 Cup, Mike Evans, Devonta, Zay Flowers, Jamison Williams, and Sutton.
Cup, Evans if he plays, and Smitty if Evans does not play, Zay Flowers.
Agreed. Raylan, PPR flex, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, Godwin, or Flowers. This is going to be Ayuk for me.
Who does San Fran have? So bad
Cleveland.
at remembering. Cleveland. Um, it's gonna be Ayuk, but Flowers is close. I really like the spot that Flowers is in this week, but I would lean Ayuk.
Manny again, flex Devonta Smith or JT. For this week, it's going to be Devonta Smith.
For this week, yeah.
Yeah, we're still ramping up JT. He didn't really play a ton last week. I think it's going to be probably another 2 or 3 weeks. So you start to see a very more similar workload that you would think for JT, or at least another week or two.
And Zach Moss is fucking crushing.
Yeah,
So there's
no
really
rush.
there's no reason for them to just hurry that up.
Start running one running back, one flex. Brees, Kyron, Godwin, London. I'm going to go the first two.
First two.
Tam, pick one defense. Commanders, Raiders, Hawks, Vikings, or Colts.
The Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to go Raiders too. Because what really worries me the most, and I think I've said this, I think we said the same thing last week. There was a defense that was playing Atlanta. What worries me is they're so slow and they want to run the football so much that unless you can get them out of that and like force them to throw the ball more, it's tough to get to Atlanta or to pick a defense against Atlanta because the opportunities for turnovers, sacks, all that stuff just aren't going to be there the same way you would against other teams. So I definitely think the Raiders are probably the more I think the better bet there. Not good at fantasy again. Yeah, there was a Bateman drop and an Andrews drop in the end zone last game. Yeah.
Sorry, I knew there was two for sure, and I thought there was potentially a third one.
So what we do is for Last Fish in the Pond on Twitch. Good evening. For week 5, thoughts on KC, Philly, Miami, or Buffalo?
I mean, they're all great. Let's see.
I'm going to go Buffalo here, especially if Daniel Jones is out. I think that was probably pretty fair. I think that was pretty easy to call. I mean, you're talking about 4 elite teams here. So like trying to I want to save
Yeah.
them. Like, like obviously we should love to save all 4 of them, but I just don't think, so of all these teams, I think Buffalo is the easiest one. Like I would be shocked if without Daniel Jones I mean, even with Daniel Jones, really, but without Daniel Jones, Buffalo just I think is just a pretty easy call here.
What do you think about the Rams against Arizona
I think the Rams have been good enough this year that they can beat anybody if things are going well
with
for them. Because even
cutback
the
too?
first half, really, and part of that game, for most of that game against the Bengals, the score really doesn't show how close the game was. And so it's just this Cardinals team has kind of been a thorn for people. Like nobody would have believed you if you said you thought the Cardinals were going to beat the Cowboys, and they did. So I just think with these options, you really haven't used a lot of other people. I think just getting a little bit safer, and I think Buffalo is probably the safest bet. Ashton, PPR, tight end premium, Hunter Henry or Gabe Davis?
Game.
Or yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Joel Guitar Dynasty. What do you think you can get for Puka there, Cody? Dynasty guy.
I was lucky enough that I grabbed Puka, and I think 3 of my 5 dynasties, I wanna say I have him in the majority. I have him in over 50% of my dynasties. I am not in a rush to trade him, to be honest. Like that type of especially now that we've seen a week with Cooper Cup back in the fold, I don't know, man. I'm not in any sort of rush, and I think you're gonna have people looking at him as like, oh, is he gonna sustain that? So I don't think you're going to get the value you should be getting for what Puka has done through the first 5 weeks and last week, including Cooper Cup. Now, obviously, he didn't see 15 targets, but you know what I mean. They did combine for 23, so I think he still saw like 11. You know what I mean? If that offense is just going to get funneled through those two, and then if Cup gets banged up again, you're looking at 15 to 20 target Puka Nakua again. So you can always throw him on your trade block, but in the leagues that I have him, I am not in any sort of rush. Like I don't think this is a sell high. I think Puka is legit. So I'm just writing it out with him because you drafted him probably like a 3rd round pick. So you're playing with house money at this point. Now I get that's a reason why you might want to try to trade him because of the price that you initially got him for, but I'm holding on to him. And that because especially if you're a contender, you're probably going to have a hard time replacing that type of production. And if you are building, you want to build around young wide receivers like this anyway. So Puka's a guy I'm not really looking to trade unless someone is going to give me fair value, and I don't think you're going to get it because people that are trying to come after him are probably going to be trying to be doing it to get like a little bit of a discount.
War Eagle over on Twitch. Hope you're still here. War Eagle, pick 2, Devonta Smith, Flowers, or Christian Kirk for this week.
It's going to be, oh God. If Zay Jones is out, it'll be Kirk and Smitty for me. Like I have these 3 ranked super, super close. I really like the spot that Flowers in. Like I don't want to sit him here, but out of these 3, he would be the one. If Zay Jones plays, then I would sit Kirk.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Smith and Kirk. Alexis, a little late there, Alexis. Normally, you're first in the line for all the questions, so must have been a little busy tonight. I already have Bijan, Jacobs, Keenan, Puka in my lineup. Need to flex 2. Devonta, Kyron, Godwin, Taylor, and Higgins. If Higgins plays, I'm going to flex him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kyron. If he doesn't play, it's Devonta and Kyron.
Yep. I'm with you.
Have a free roster spot. Do I pick up Osborne, Gabe Davis, DeMarcado, or Roshan? I think it
Roshan.
depends on. Yeah, I think you're kind of set at wide receiver, much more so than running back. I know you still have Bijan and Jacobs there and Kyron, but I want the running back depth, so I'm going to go Roshan here. This is the same one, right? Yeah. Okay, this is the one where you asked the
Yeah.
question and you
Yep.
responded back with. And if you haven't already, as well, Ashton,
The chat doing our work for us.
yes, I appreciate that. If you'd like, we have a free Discord you can come over and join. It is always popping. There's always conversations going on, and so
Always
it is
something.
a good time there. And like I said, it's absolutely free. So if you're on Discord, you can come over and join. The link is right there. And then if you haven't already, again, if you can hit that like button, and if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We are only 98 away from the elusive 5K, so 98 more
We're
subs, and
climbing.
we are there. So
We're climbing.
any help is appreciated.
Alexis is just being a true Canadian, playing hockey up north.
Were you outside on a pond? I guess it's probably not that cold yet, right? To be out there. But you never know. I mean, I don't know how far in Canada. I don't know. There's got to be somewhere where that could be the possibility, but probably not yet.
Just permanently frozen.
Yeah. Oh, no, we didn't answer that. Alexis, trade Jefferson for CMC in a dynasty if I'm 5-0. Is that a no? I feel like that's a no, but
I don't. That's so tough, man. I mean, I think if first of all, to me, this would depend on what the price is, right? Like if we're talking like a grand or something, and it's gonna put you over the top, and you're gonna be able to pay for, I mean, 2 3 years worth of league fees for it, then I would consider it. But if it's like a smaller one, if it doesn't really put you over the top, because you could be 5-0 and like your team was just like okay, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, like if you just ran to a couple lucky, lucky opponents, a couple lucky matchups, like that's really tough. In a vacuum, I would not want to lose out on the years and the upside of Justin Jefferson going forward. But like I said, if it makes you, it's, sorry, I just saw Alexis say it is 15 Celsius, and Alexis, you're gonna have to do that conversion for us. I don't know what that means. Um, but like I wouldn't want to, in general, I would not want to lose out on the years of Justin Jefferson. We're talking about an elite type of dynasty asset. But if it puts you over the top, if it makes you like the unquestioned, like if it just gives you an absolute like Death Star of a lineup going up against the rest of your league, and like I said, it's the juice is worth the squeeze, and it's worth losing out on those future years of Jefferson. I think you could consider it, but I would rather make some other, like if you have picks, like I'd rather just leverage my future that way and trade, trade some future ones if you had to versus versus losing Jefferson.
yeah, 15 degrees Celsius is 59 degrees. So
Yeah.
certainly not cold enough to be out there skating on the ice. Purple, trade Mixon for Puka. Yes.
Yep.
Craig, hi there. I have tight end Ingram and Cole from Chicago. He seems to get more touches.
I think Cole's just had a couple bigger games. Like I think Ingram has been steadier. I might be completely making it up, Kev. I know you were looking at Ingram's box score and his fantasy points a little bit earlier. I know Cole had that 2 touchdown performance, and I guess if DJ Moore is going to be the only wide receiver to register receptions going forward, which obviously is not sustainable. But um, I would just rather buy into Trevor Lawrence as a passer of the football versus Cole Kmet.
Yeah, I mean Ingram has seen 8 targets every single week except for week 1. So he's been really consistent. Now Komet's kind of been all over the place in terms of usage 7, 6, 2, 9, and 5. So he's just kind of been all over the place. But he really didn't do anything the first there for a couple of weeks. Really the first 3 weeks. I mean, he had 9, 8, and 4 fantasy points, but the last 2 weeks with 28 and 15 certainly helped. But yeah. I just think I'd rather have Ingram long term. Not good at fancy pizza. It sucks. I agree. Domino's barbecue pizza is undefeated.
Hmm.
Oh, we already got this one, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Let's go. He knows exactly what we're talking about here. Casey's Pizza. Yes. It's go. It's to go. I wouldn't go that far, but it's good.
We actually have where I grew up back in Pennsylvania. There was a gas station, not a chain or anything like that, just a gas station that actually had legitimately good pizza. Like every time I'm back home, it's a must stop.
John, Olave or Flowers versus Tennessee this week, PPR. I'm going to go Olave here.
Olave.
Casa. Rest of season, Monty or Keenan Allen? I'm going to go Keenan Allen.
Keenan.
TX, Ford or Javante? I'm going to go Ford here. Don't love it at all, but I'm going to go Ford.
Ford.
Emmy, hey guys, I offered trade to get Roschon Johnson for Alexander Madison. Thoughts?
I think if you need to get by for the next couple of weeks, Roschon Johnson's probably going to be ranked higher for us, I would imagine, Kev, going forward with Madison losing out some of the work to Cam Akers. And it's not like Madison has been great by any means. So with Khalil Herbert, should be out for the next couple of weeks. I don't think he's been put on IR yet, but that was kind of the original thought, is that he was going to, he was a candidate for IR. If you're in a pinch and you need just like an RB2 to plug in, I would lean Roschon, but you also have to realize that like once Khalil Herbert comes back, then it's just going to go back to some sort of split.
Maybe. I think it would ultimately depends on if Roschon took over and he got this opportunity for 2 or 3 weeks and he just crushed, it may not be a split anymore. But yeah. TX, Drake London or Olave? Olave. It's not close.
Olave.
Which two? Puka, Addison, or Godwin? It's the first two for me.
Yes.
Falcons.
Although I will say, if Evans misses, I would play Godwin over Addison.
Which DST between Falcons or Jags? I'm going to go Jags here.
When you're not going to be any help, I would go Falcons.
Drop Gibson for Foreman. I'm going to say no. Assuming it's a PPR league.
Again, this will be a situation where I think if you like need someone to play just over the next couple of weeks, I would. Gibson has been absolutely unplayable. Like he's not seeing the field, not getting touches. At least Foreman with Khalil Herbert out will be the guy, at least for a short amount of time. So like, I think if you're in a pinch and you need to, and Gibson is your only like droppable player, I think I would. It's been terrible.
Ronnie, need one. Full PPR. Have Keenan and the Sun God, D-Hop, Christian Kirk, or Lockett.
Kirk.
Yeah. Agreed. TX is taking over my job. Hey. Slacking there, Alexis. Not good. Did you see Njoku's face burns? Yes, I saw that. And now I don't know how he played football with those. So, like, I don't have time to get into the whole, like, part of it, but I have been burnt pretty significantly. I spent, like, 9 days in the hospital, um, on my leg, and, um, somebody set me on fire. I'm not gonna get into the whole story. So, it's all yeah, I was asleep. I mean, we could do a story time if people wanted the story, but yes, I spent 9 days in the hospital. I had to have skin grafts and everything. It is the stone cold worst, but yes, somebody set me on fire. Yeah. Okay. It's actually I can tell the story really quickly. It's not even that hard.
Oh my
It's not that
god.
long of a story. So yeah, I was at a friend's house and we were drinking, playing video games stuff like this. And this I just gotten out of the military, so I was probably 23 or 24, and it was like in January, and we were hanging out,
They thought you were cold.
and I was no, and I was and so I was hanging out. We were drinking everything, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to drive. And so I was like, dude, you mind if I just crash here? And so I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So I fell asleep on the couch, and he poured rubbing alcohol on my foot. I was wearing like a wool socks. It was like January. It was like 5 degrees outside, and he ended up and he had a camera and was filming it because he thought it was going to be like you spray hairspray on something and it kind of goes up and goes out, and thought it'd be funny. Well, that's not what happened, and it goes up in flames. And literally, when I wake up, because like I'd been drinking, I probably had like 12, 13 beers, so I wasn't waking up super quick. Like the flames were all the way up to like my kneecap, and like rolling around, like trying to get it to go out, and it didn't go out for like it was a good 45 seconds. I was on fire, like rolling around on fire. And finally, he found a fire extinguisher and put it out. And so, like, it was really bad pain. Like, it's probably some of the worst pain I've ever had. And like my leg and my foot looked like a baked potato. Like all the skin just completely opened up. And so I was like, dude, you need to call 911 because like I'm bleeding profusely. Like it's bad. Like you know what I mean? And like, but like he was like he had like a bunch of weed in his house, and he was like, "Dude, no, bro, I can't call the cops to have him
Oh
come
my
here."
god.
He's like, "Can you go down the stairs and I'll take you to the hospital?" And I'm like, he lived like at the top, like this huge stairwell to get down. I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get down. And so like I had to like hop down. We get in the I finally I get in the car and put my foot out of the window, right? And, and so he takes me all the way to the hospital, and I'm like hopping inside. And the worst part was when I got there, they they're like, "Hey, can you fill out these forms?" And I'm like, "No, I'm bleeding all over the place. Like I'm in like really bad pain." I was like, "No, fuck your forms. Like you need to get me in somewhere." And so they finally got me back there. I was like, "Can you give me some sort of pain medicine?" No. They're like, "No, you have to wait. We are transferring you to a burn unit." And so over at a different hospital, so we can't give you anything. They have to. And so finally, they came pick me up, and yeah, I spent 9 days in the hospital. Anyways, I guess that was a little longer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, so that's how. And I had to get skin grafts done. They took it from my thigh and put it on my leg and foot. So one question turns into a whole entire story. But yeah, so that's how it happened.
That is wild. I thought that was just going to be like a military story, like something happened in the military. That's where I thought that was going.
No.
No, just
So and skin grafts were even worse, way worse than the actual burns. Like skin grafts, I wouldn't wish on anybody because obviously they take all the skin off, and so like it's just like your nerves that are showing and like a bare.
oh,
And so like when I woke up, like I was like screaming bloody murder. I guess I don't remember a lot of it because they had me on like super powerful drugs, and it still didn't feel. I didn't feel like I was on any pain medicine. So
my
it was
goodness.
bad I went back for them to do it. They were like, when you wake up, this is going to be terrible. Like it's worse by far. I was like, what to describe it? Like what is it worse than? And it was like it's one of the most worst pains you could have. But anyway, yeah. So yeah,
Imagine if you're tuning in for the first time, just coming to get
people are like, what is he talking about? Like we're trying to talk about football here. Anyways, back to football, as they say. Thank you for the gyms. My Wednesday just went by faster. Don't forget to like. Yes, be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and so you can support my my burnt appendage down here. Um, Emmanuel, hello TFA trade advice. I got offered DK for my tight end Andrews. My wide receivers are Godwin, JJ, Garrett Wilson, Puka, Osborne, Josh Downs, and Jason. I'm 3-2 and in fourth place. Other tight end is Ferguson.
Man.
I don't think that's strong enough. Like I think there's like
Yeah, I wouldn't
Ferguson's
want to
been
do it for
fine, right?
DK.
Like he hasn't been bad. He hasn't been necessarily great. Like he's just been a kind of middle of the road. Like he's gonna get you there. He's had a couple decent weeks, but I think I would want more for Mark Andrews than just DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Agreed.
Danzel, Debo, St. Brown, Lamb, Flowers need best three. So it's gonna be Amon Ra, CD.
It's really close to me between Debo and Flowers.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go Devo here.
Lean Debo as well. Man, I want to. I need something where I can answer Flowers.
Someone in my league dropped James Conner. I can drop Sanders, Warren, or Roshan. Other running backs are Monty and Jacob. Should I stash him?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah, I
for
think
Roshan.
I was gonna say Sanders, but I don't know. Miles Sanders just hasn't been good, and like it's starting to like I know they paid him a decent amount. It's not as much as people think that they paid him, like, but it's not like, but he just hasn't really been that great. I don't know. He's averaging 8.8 fantasy points per game.
He's been banged up, and then that offensive line has been banged up as well. But he has been seeing a decent target share in the offense, and like you were mentioning earlier with Thielen, like eventually that is going to run out, and Thielen is not going to be getting 11, 14 targets every week. So I think Sanders, once he can get healthy and this offense can get a little more, at least consistent, I would rather have Sanders just because once Khalil Herbert comes back. I know you're a big Roshan guy, Kev, but Khalil Herbert had a really good game the week before, and then the week that he got injured, he was on his way to having another good game. So I think even if Roshan shows out, it's at least going to be some kind of split or some kind of headache. I don't think Khalil Herbert's going to completely go away. So
So
yeah, I think you could for Connor.
Murdoch, something I would say here that might be so if you
Yeah.
have IR spots and if you could pick him up and IR him, I think maybe like if you have a defense or a kicker or something like that, and it's not like some elite player, I would be more comfortable dropping them, picking up
It's a good
Connor,
call.
stashing them, and then just go picking up another defense.
It's a
Or you
good
could wait and
call.
see if you could get him picked back up. Because I don't really want to drop any of these. And with Connor, I mean, there's no point. So if you have an open IR spot, I think I would much rather do that.
Good call.
Ashton, would you trade Kirk in a second for Monty and Dynasty? I'm 8-2 with the league median. I have Brian Robinson and Khalil Herbert, Akers, and Charbonnet. Kirk is my wide receiver 4 or 5. 3 flex spots though.
I don't think you need to add the second to Monty. I know obviously Monty's been going off the past couple of weeks, but yeah, I would try and get like a small piece back on top of that. Like Kirk obviously has the age on his side. Monty again, dynasty running back. Like we typically don't care. Like I don't think that Monty is going to necessarily last if he's just going to be getting 25 plus touches or carries every single game. So I would try and find another, another thing to do there. Maybe take that second. There should be someone you can go out there and get for a second. No names are coming to mind right now, but especially with having the 3 flex spots too, like that can get a little dicey. But I don't know if you can get like something small, like even if you can get like Monty in a third back, like I'd rather do like Monty in a third. I don't think you need to do Kirk in a second for Monty. I would maybe try and get like a small pick or a small player back.
Would you guys drop Russell Wilson for Brock Purdy? I have Jordan Love on bye. Just drop Jordan Love then. Like
Yep.
honestly, like I don't want to drop Brock Purdy. Like Brock Purdy's been really good, and if you're wanting to pick up Russell Wilson, yes, I would just drop Jordan Love. Like I know he was good, but like most of his production early was just an insane touchdown rate that wasn't sustainable. Now we're seeing that it wasn't sustainable. And I mean, he looked terrible against the Raiders defense. And so, like, I don't know. I think he can bounce back. He's going to probably have some decent weeks here and there, but I would rather have the other two. So, your friend got tired of lighting the weed. Your leg is dead. Yeah, it was something. It was
Saw the little fuzzies on your sock and thought it was little nugs. Try to light them up, spark them.
yeah.
No man, I think that's my shake. On he must have stepped in my weed. That's definitely shake.
It was a night, that's for sure.
Ah, at least you have a story, right?
Yeah, I got the story and the scars. Like it is really soft. Like I can show you, but like it's really soft, like all the way down my ankle because like there's no hair there whatsoever. Uh, it's soft like a baby. Start Logan Thomas or Ingram. Pick up Gabe Davis or Osborne. Would you start any of Gabe Davis or Osborne? I'm gonna go Ingram here. Yeah, I have Ingram as a top 5 tight end this week. I have Logan Thomas at I have him at 10. So I mean Logan Thomas is still a really strong play, but I prefer
Yeah,
Evan Ingram.
man. I I lean Ingram as well, but it is close. The Falcons are giving up the second most half PPR points per game to the position.
Yeah,
It
that's where you
is,
attack the Falcons is in the middle, especially at the tight end.
yeah. Mm. Ingram by a smidge.
Also start one of Gabe Davis, Osborne.
No, I'd keep Mixon and Pittman.
Yeah. Not good at fantasy.
Ooh,
Last week I called Chase's wide receiver 1. This week Waddle will have 30 plus fantasy
he
points.
did. He did.
Dynasty questions keep them rolling. Tyler,
Let's
do I
go.
trade Kyron and D Hop for Barkley in a 14-man dynasty?
That I would do. Not sold on Kyron long term. Obviously, D Hop is over the hump. I think with the way that Kyron and D Hop have been playing, like, I mean, if you think you could get a little greedy and ask for, get something, just a small piece on top of Barkley, but if you can't, I would I would take Barkley here over those two.
Uncle Ted.
Uncle T.
What's up, Unc? Drop forward for Najee Harris. No.
Nope.
Seems weird, doesn't it? To say that.
It does.
Like, I do think
But it
there's a
seems like Uncle
world.
Ted already did it.
You just couldn't wait, could you? You couldn't wait well enough alone. You said you couldn't wait. It's just like a cascade of. Would you do it? All right, I actually did it. No, now I'm doubling down. Harris will get his stats by the year's end.
Do not share the same enthusiasm that you do, Uncle Ted. Harris has been hashtag bad. He's been outscored by Jalen Warren and PPR every single week of the year so far. Like Jalen Warren is not going away. He has more juice. He looks better. And I really don't think that, maybe this is my hometown hatred coming through, but Harris has never actually been like hashtag good. Like his rookie season, it was all on volume. And that's why I liked him this year too. I thought it was going to be a volume play. I liked what the Steelers did on the offensive line, bringing in Samalu. I can't pronounce his name correctly. The guard from Philly. Like I was buying in, and this is what happens to me. The Steelers just shit on my face whenever I buy in and say nice things about them. But Harris is not getting what 320 touches, whatever he had his rookie year. Whenever Big Ben was just dumping off to him every other play because he couldn't push the ball down the field. Like I don't think Harris has ever been actually good. He survived on a shit ton of volume, and that is not going to be the case this year. Thank you for coming to my Uncle Ted talk. See what I did there?
Yeah. And I mean their schedule is actually not great. I think the 40 or the Steelers, they have the ninth hardest schedule remaining for running backs rest of season as well. So that's obviously not great. I will say the fantasy championship week isn't bad, where you get the Colts, Cincinnati, and Seattle. Like it's not great, but it's not terrible. But they still have some pretty tough matchups after their bye. You still have the Rams, you have the Jags, you have the Titans, Packers, Browns, Bengals, Cardinals, and then the Patriots, Colts, and then like I said, the rest. So it's not also a great matchups. Like I just don't really want any part of him. Like, is it possible he turns it around and like has some productive weeks? I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll have some games where he'll finally, be able to find the end zone and score a touchdown because he has none of those so far. He's not being utilized in the passing game at all. He only has 9 targets. The other really concerning thing is he only has 3 red zone touches on the season. 3. Like that is the main reason why, because he's not explosive, or he never really has been explosive on the year. Though for some weird turn of events, he is actually second in breakaway run rate on the season. So there's that. Um, but he just hasn't been very good, right? And obviously the biggest concern has still been the lack of pass catching usage. He's 33rd in route participation. Jalen Warren has kind of taken that role, and he's only averaging 6.7 fantasy points per game, which is really bad.
Yeah.
I got Puka at the 407 and 402 in Dynasty. Love it. Adam, do you prefer Lamar Jackson or Fields this season? I think we just had this. I'm going to go with Fields.
Yeah, I lean Lamar, but like I said, I also doubted that Fields would be able to keep up the pace that he had last year, and now he's actually throwing the ball. I can't take credit for this. I think it was Josh Norris pointed this out, but the Bears actually have 11 passing touchdowns to 2 rushing touchdowns. I think it's the 7th highest rate or split between passing and rushing touchdowns, which is not something I had on my 2023 fantasy football bingo card. It's almost a disco card. What's a disco card?
Not good at fantasy. Does Pittman's value increase with Minshew? Yes, I think it does. Not that that's not a knock against Anthony Richardson either. It's just Gardner Minshew doesn't possess like the running ability and do those things with his legs that in the way that Anthony Richardson does, and so I think it forces it's gonna produce more your shader drop back passes, stuff like that, remaining in the pocket, and so I do think this helps Michael Pittman.
I think the biggest one is Josh Downs. I think it helps him more so than Pittman.
Joe, how are you doing? Uncle T, McLaughlin is dope AF. Peyton loves his screams. Camara 2.2. Okay. Kind of random, but all right. No problem. Raylan, let's get that 5K. Absolutely. If you're new here, just hit that like and subscribe button. We always appreciate it. It is much appreciated. It's really all that we ask. Ask it again and again. If you want to hit that, if you want to jump into our free Discord, absolutely. It's absolutely free. Just click that link and you're in.
93
Joe, just got home
right
from
now.
work. What's news? Or what's new? What's good? I mean, we just told a nice story. I don't know if you were here because we are behind. We told a nice story about how I got set on fire. So that's happened. We answered some fantasy questions. And so yeah, it's been a great night overall so far. So let's see. Not that cold yet. Usually around 15 Celsius. Oh, that's right. During the day. So no, I was playing in an arena. Like big time in this. I was in an arena, like I'm out here like NHL. What if Alexis would actually like played in the NHL and like we just didn't even know it? It's like he's like, well, actually,
Just been hanging out with us for the past 3 years.
yeah. Me and Sidney Crosby hang out, whatever. I don't know. Is he even still in hockey? I don't know anything about hockey.
Yeah, just keep it moving.
Sit down. Just relax. Joe, need wide receiver help. My wide receivers are Hill, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, Cooper, and Tank Dell. Need some waiver options. Rice and Drake London. I'm not dropping any of them though for any of those guys.
No, I mean, I think you're fine.
Mr. Righteous. Hey guys, quick question for the flex. Curtis Samuel, Josh Downs, or Josh Reynolds? Who should I commit with?
I give the nod to Downs by a smidge over Curtis Samuel. It's close. It's between those two for sure.
I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel, but I don't mind Josh Downs either.
I feel the same way about Curtis Samuel.
Ardez. I need to drop 2 wide receivers to pick up running backs at a tight end for waivers. Thielen, Devonta Smith, Pittman, Addison, or Higgins. You need to drop what?
Oh. What? I'm not dropping any of them.
Yeah, why do you need to pick up? Like, are they on bye, I assume? And who's your tight end? Like, if it's like Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews or Laporta or something like that, but why do we have to drop these guys? Because I don't want to drop any of these wide receivers.
No. I mean, you could, to make space, you could always could you just trade Thielen, maybe sell high on him and pick up, at least one of your spots that way? I mean, who's on bye other than the Steelers?
Packers.
Yeah, I would drop Patty, I would drop Musgrave, and I would just, whoever it is that you have, if that is the case, then just pick someone up from waivers. And if Logan Thomas is out there, Logan Thomas is the clear waiver ad for this week. Doesn't solve your running back problem, but I still think you could sell high on Thielen and potentially get a solid running back in return, maybe a Kyron Williams you could look for.
I need a running back from waivers. Justice Hill, Foreman, Murray, or DeMarcado.
Obviously, if Roschon doesn't clear, it is Foreman.
You have no idea how times when your cat just jumps up and his tail just bitch slaps you every single time right in the face.
Every time.
It's hilarious to me.
And I end up getting the hair on my face and in my nose, itchy. Obviously Foreman if Roschon doesn't clear, and then I'd probably go Hill if Roschon does clear.
I'm going to go DeMarcado just below Foreman, and then Hill is the way I would look at it. Booty, rocket everywhere. Lost AR as my QB2 and a super flex. Now I got to fire up Glock Purdy. I'm hoping he keeps playing like he has been. How do you guys feel about it moving forward?
I have never heard Glock Purdy, and I love it. Yeah, in a super flex, completely fine rolling out someone like Purdy every week. Completely fine.
Ricardo, Burrow, or Stroud?
Burrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Felt great. I had him as a top 10 quarterback last week. I think I was the only one. I see people.
That's so funny. That's so funny. You being like, I had Joe Burrow top 10 last week. Look at me.
Yeah, It really is oh, okay, cool, man. Like where he should have been, but yeah, like everybody else had and I get totally why everybody had him so low, but I stood strong, stood it out, and then look what happened. He went off. Another Twitch, Adam. Yo, guys, how's it going? Should I trade Keenan Allen, Saquon, and Kittle for Eckler and Sam Laporta? That's too much.
Too much. I want the Keenan side. I love Eckler. I love Laporta, but it's a little too rich for my blood. I don't mind trying to go out and get Eckler and Laporta by any means, but you should be getting more back.
What you gonna do when Minshew mania runs wild on you, brother? Yeah, that was terrible. Let's not do that again.
That's bad.
Yeah, all bad. Not saying Richardson isn't just Minshew, hasn't really been given a chance since Jacksonville. I mean, yeah. But I mean, he did throw for 300 yards last year, I think, when he was with the Eagles. But TX Connor was dropped by league. How much fab to spend to pick him up? 12 team. I have 58 fab left.
10.
Yeah, because I don't think people are going to go. I mean, considering he's out for the next 4 weeks. I mean, you're talking pretty late to be getting him back by then. But it could be a nice, playoff stretch, addition to your team. So, but I don't want to go crazy with it either.
I guess because at this point of the year, you're probably not going to get a ton of other better options than James Conner hitting waivers. But I mean, he does only have 2 games with double-digit fantasy points and half PPR scoring. So he's been fine. He's been good. You know what I mean? But it's not does this Arizona team continue to stick around in games? You know what I mean? This could be something where it was man, remember the Cardinals were actually looking okay through the first 5 weeks and they just absolutely shit the bed. That's possible as well. And then you're looking at a situation where, you know what I mean, if Connor doesn't get traded, they might just want to get a look at, DeMarcado and maybe some of the other guys lower down on their depth chart. But I wouldn't go crazy. I mean, I think 15 would honestly probably be the max that I would go on him.
Yeah, Michael, if Mike Evans is out, would you play Godwin over DK? No, I wouldn't personally. But I also have DK as a top 12 wide receiver this week. So, Emilio, would you start Purdy or Wilson after dropping Jordan Love? I'm going to start Russell Wilson. Mainly because you can pretty much know what game script it's going to be. They're going to have to throw the ball to keep up with the Chiefs, where the 49ers are playing or possible Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Watson-less Browns, right? And so with him out, it's hard to really imagine they're going to stay up. And I just don't know how much he really has to throw the ball in this game, right? And so, but I will say Cleveland's defense has been really good this year too. I mean, they've been absolutely elite. So it feels like it could be kind of a low-scoring, gross game where I feel like Russell Wilson has a much higher ceiling.
Yeah, it's close, but I'm with you.
Thoughts on Saquon this week? Maybe even try to trade him as well as stashing Kareem Hunt. I don't want to stash Kareem Hunt, but as far as Saquon is concerned, I am somewhat concerned because we typically see running backs that come back from high ankle sprains like he did tend to not look like themselves for at least 2 or 3 more weeks. And this offense is so incredibly bad. And I don't know if you saw him today, but his leg was taped the fuck up today.
I did not see that.
So I don't know if he's even healthy. And it really wouldn't, with everybody else that they have out this week, really wouldn't shock me if they held Saquon out for another week. If maybe he doesn't actually end up playing this week, some people, we kind of thought he might. So it's something we're going to have to monitor. But I think you could try to trade him. Yes, he still obviously holds name value. I think you could, and if you've made it through without him so far, I mean, you haven't had him since week one. You know, I definitely think he's an option of somebody you can kind of trade right now. Because the worst thing that could happen is if you waited to trade him and he goes out and has a terrible week, the first week that he's back, and then it's really going to kind of tank his value a little bit, or people aren't going to want to give you fair value for him. So when they should.
Sorry, I just want to throw this one up real quick. I saw at the bottom of the chat that Joe missed our takes, and his house is chaotic right now. But just want to throw this one back up there. We think you're fine at wide receiver, Joe. We're not dropping anyone to pick up Rice or Drake London. Like, I think between Hill, Ayuk, Cooper's been fine, Tank Dell's been fine, Wilson has his spot, so I think you're good.
Yeah, as much as I like Rashee Rice, I just don't think you need to make. I don't think there's nobody on here that I'm like, okay, yeah, I definitely have to drop this guy.
Yeah.
Sure be fam over on Twitch. Who should I start between Zay Flowers, Nico, or Jordan Addison? I'm gonna go with Nico Collins.
Jordan Addison.
And I don't hate that either. I think it's
Sure.
between them two for me. What worries me with Zay Flowers is almost he's basically being used like a gadget wide receiver. He's basically being used a lot of short dump off screens, stuff like that. Now it's not bad for PPR formats, but he just seems like he feels kind of like he has a limited ceiling right now with the way they've kind of been deploying him as a wide receiver. So, Raylan PPR, would you trade Christian Watson and Pittman for Waddle? No.
Nah.
I do think Watson has some definitely some appeal as or not Watson, but Waddle has some better weeks are coming for him, and he's always been really efficient as a wide receiver. But I also he is going to be hit or miss. He's going to be up or down. I would rather prefer Christian Watson and Pittman. Hey yo, Tingley. Currently, you got Puka and Cup. Thinking about trading Puka to try to upgrade. Thoughts on the potential trade? Puka, Nico for AJ Brown. I feel like if you're going to do that, maybe you do. I don't want to trade Nico. So maybe do because honestly, Puka for AJ Brown's not that far off from what Puka has been able to accomplish. So maybe I would look more to a Josh Palmer or a Michael Thomas. Maybe Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas you could include too. Something like that if you really want to get it over the top. But I don't. I think Puka and Nico is too much. I mean, Nico Collins has been a top 10 wide receiver this year. And I don't think it's a fluke. And CJ Stroud looks really good. Everything kind of aligns. I don't want to get rid of Nico Collins.
Or if you're going to do that, you need something back on top of AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Skipped one. And Sherb, I would.
Oh, here it comes.
Who do you have in your flex? Can we, especially with the situation with Justin Jefferson being out, I would really want to start both of them, to be honest. Who are you flexing right now? If it's somebody like a Joe Mixon, I would rather play both tight ends. But let us know what your flex situation is.
Bryce, start 3. Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Waddle, DK, or Pittman.
The last 3. Sitting Wilson and Cooper.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with what it looks like. No Deshaun Watson. Alex, thoughts on ways to improve my wide receivers? Triple flex league, PPR. Wide receivers are Olave, Addison, Higgins, and Michael Wilson. Running backs are Bijan, Etienne, and James Cook. Tight ends Kmet and have McLaughlin, Akers, Keontae Ingram on bench.
I mean, I think your wide receivers are generally fine, to be honest. Um, like I don't know what your waiver wire looks like, but I think if you're looking for wide receiver help, you could drop Keontae Ingram. I think to get a wide receiver because I think it's at least going to be a split between him and Demarcado. So I think he's someone who you could drop, especially with having Bijan, Etienne, and Cook at running back. And in a triple flex league, I mean, you can always just run out all three of those running backs. So I mean, obviously Higgins has been a little bit of a disappointment, but it seems like Burrow's starting to put it back together and get it turned around. So can't really sell him. I mean, I guess you could potentially try and like sell high on the hype around Addison, but I don't think you're going to get two receivers back to offset what his potential and what his upside could be, especially without us like really seeing it just yet. Although he has had what three or four touchdowns in his through his first 5 games. So I think your receivers are fine. And now, Derek Carr got in a full practice today. So if he's able to get back to his self, Olave is going to jump back up. Addison now has a very clear path to being the top target earner in that offense. Then Higgins will eventually be okay. So, I mean, I think you're fine, but look at waivers and potentially drop Ingram to see what kind of receivers are sitting out there for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can
Yep,
also.
he's
No,
there.
yeah. I had to stand up, and I didn't want my area all up in the camera. I had to stand up for a second. Stretch the legs a little bit, not doze off. But all I was gonna say was, like, again, like I think a lot of times when we talk about trading, like it always goes to like what elite wide receiver can I acquire? Where I think maybe the best option is trying to like incremental trade up, right? Like maybe being able to get like a McLaughlin who's had a really good couple of weeks, and you take him and kind of incremental move up, like try to get like a Rashee Rice or like bet on somebody like that who can break out and really improve your wide receivers depth situation versus trying to take like James Cook or ETN and creating a hole somewhere else. And so that's the way that I always look at it, because a lot of times when you like see like buy sell stuff, it's always like a top of the food chain type players, and most people aren't getting rid of those guys for cheap, and you're gonna have to give up a lot to get them. And so I'm always looking for kind of like cheaper ways that you can improve without having to give up the farm to acquire it, right? So,
Yeah.
even guys like Quentin Johnston, I think is somebody you could look to buy. If he has a second half breakout, like a lot of times we see from rookie wide receivers, guys like that are players, or even like a JSN who I'm seeing people today on Twitter saying that you should drop him. I'm like, no, you shouldn't drop him at all. Like it's because like you just have to like for most people like their waivers, there's not loaded with all these players to go out and pick up. So somebody like that would get immediately added because those guys aren't sitting out there. Like generally speaking, like waivers, like people's waiver wires don't look like that. They're a bunch of guys that are projected for like 4 or 5 fantasy points. And so like it's hard, you're hard pressed to think that you should drop somebody like JSN who coming off an injury and stuff like that, because like a lot of waiver wires, it's Devontae Parker and John Mechie and Donovan Peoples Jones and Darius Slayton, and it's guys like that. Like so, somebody like that would get picked up instantly in most leagues. Now, if you're talking about like an 8-man league or something, fine. But in any 12-man league, those guys should not be dropped. So anyway, Tom, full PPR, Swift and Ford for Keenan and Gibbs.
Keenan side.
Yeah, I agree. Or Jacobs for Mark Andrews and Pittman. I mean, I would want the Jacobs side.
Is this an either or? Which one would you rather do if we're picking one of these trades? Because it kind of seems like maybe Tom has some RB depth to play around with, right?
I yeah, I mean, I still want the Keenan side. I mean, he's the best player, I think. And I mean, there's so few really good running backs out there. And so I don't know if I want to part ways. Like I know Swift has been really good and Ford is just kind of whatever. Um, you know, at least to this point, especially the way the offense is trending with Deshaun Watson's injury and everything. So, and Gibbs, I think you have to eventually get him involved, right? Like you have to do something with him. Like this whole thing is so
I think
weird.
so.
It's almost like it's almost like DeAndre Swift never left the Lions. Like it feels very much the same as DeAndre Swift. And
The
it's like
exact
I don't know,
same.
like Dan Campbell, like maybe he wasn't as excited as everybody else was in that room whenever they drafted him.
Just
Because when
pretending.
you invest that kind of draft capital into Jameer Gibbs, you would think that you would try to involve him more. And even so, even if it's not, as giving him 15 carries a game, like he should be seeing, especially with the weapons they have, like a solid, 6 to 8 targets, on most weeks.
Yeah.
Tingley, oh sorry, just saw this
I,
was a start sit. No, I mean this is a start
no
sit,
problem.
but you can ask any single question you want. So
Or Pizza Hut or Domino's, whatever you want to
yeah, or
ask.
we tell stories about getting burnt. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get. Travis Kelsey, but he might be out. I don't. I expect him to play at this point. I think he plays. Um, Now is he going to be limited? Maybe, but if Roshan and Jeff Wilson get cleared to play this week, start which of them? If Roshan gets cleared,
Roshan.
I'm starting Roshan.
Yep.
B. Jones, should I trade Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and Brandon Ayuk? Oh no,
No, four.
sorry, I missed the four. For Brandon Ayuk, Isaiah Pacheco, and Jalen Waddle.
Oh Lord. Man. I think I want the Ayuk side here. Like I think Barkley is the best player here, but that offense just scares the shit out of me. Like that offensive line has been really banged up. If Barkley's going to start off slow because of this high ankle injury, like I don't know. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I think I'd rather go with the Ayuk side here.
What about not trading Saquon and just going after taking like Hopkins and Kirk and trying to get like Ayuk and Pacheco?
I'd be fine with that.
Like I think I would rather try that because I don't want to get rid of Saquon if I don't have to. Because like it worries me. Like on paper, I don't think it's a bad trade, right? But you're also counting on Pacheco to continue to produce at the level that he has. That Jalen Waddle is going to be able to produce. Brandon Ayuk's going to be up and down. And so, like, if I don't have to get rid of Saquon, like, I guess what's your goal? I guess in this trade, like, are you trying to bolster a position group with this? Because that's kind of how I feel about it. I really love going after Isaiah Pacheco because their schedule is fantastic. Um, Really kind of rest of season. I think they have like the seventh easiest remaining schedule for running backs, and their overall strength of schedule they're in the top 10 remaining. So, but for running backs, it's really good. So I really like going out and trying to acquire Isaiah Pacheco, but I don't want to give up Saquon Barkley. Drop McLaurin for Thielen. No.
No. You are having trouble reading tonight, buddy.
Oh, D Hop. Oh Lord.
No, no, not dropping them. Um, Golly, man.
been a long day, right? Apparently, my reading comprehension isn't great tonight. I think it's
Probably McLaurin, but
yeah.
it's just hard to see Thielen and project Thielen to be on this tear that he's been on. Although like even like some of Thielen's like games where he's not completely balling have probably been better than what McLaurin has done. So McLaurin by a smidge, but Thielen needs to be closer to the top of that list.
Yeah, and I think D Hop is a absolute sell. If I can sell him, I'm gonna try to sell him coming
Yeah.
off that big game. Connor, one running back, two wide receivers, one flex, full PPR. Ramondre, CeeDee Lamb, Joshua Palmer, Scary Terry, Drake London, Sutton, McLaughlin, and Jeff Wilson.
Golly, man.
I'm gonna go Ramondre Stevenson, and I hate myself.
Yeah, I guess just by default at running back, and then the receivers will be Lamb and go Lamb and Palmer at receiver, and at the flex. The flex, I'll go Sutton.
At the flex, I'm gonna go McLaughlin. Like Terry's not terrible, but like I've said, like they have really done a good job of shutting down outside wide receivers. And Terry McLaurin hasn't done a whole hell of a lot of anything this year. I mean, his best game was 2 weeks ago against Philly, where he was wide receiver 15. But other than that, it's 5, 16, 10, 17, and 9. Like, he just hasn't been very good. And this isn't the spot that I really want to target with McLaurin. Like, I almost had him outside of my top 36 because I just don't love the matchup. And I think McLaughlin has shown enough juice the last couple of weeks that he's going to have a role and be involved in the passing game and could find the end zone. So. Scar, Calvin Ridley, Adam Thielen, and CeeDee Lamb. Sit one. I'm going to sit Adam Thielen, but it is tougher than it ever should be.
Oh God. Man. Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Colts secondary has been so bad. Like, they have been torched all year. And so that's why I like Calvin Ridley so much. And then, I mean, you're not sitting CeeDee Lamb. And then, I mean, I get it. Thielen's been really good. But I got to go Calvin Ridley and CeeDee Lamb. I think their ceilings are too high. Sell high on Kamara or Swift. Who should I target in trades? Anthony, this is a tough question because without knowing what the rest of your team looks like, I don't know exactly what it is that you need. And with the state of the
Yeah.
running backs, can you just say it? I don't really want to try to move off running backs if I don't have to. But let us know what it is that you're like. Are you needing wide receiver? Like what is it that you're looking at? Or what does your team look like, I guess, would be the best question to ask.
Yeah.
It's a wasteland in waivers. Best wide receiver available is Deontay
Yikes.
Hardy. Yes. Connor, CeeDee Lamb or Ayuk rest of season full PPR? It's going to be CeeDee Lamb, despite Jury's dumb comments that he made about, we need to get him the ball less. I really like targeting tight ends. But it's still CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Alex, I just got CMC for Justin Herbert in a 2 QB league. I still have Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud. Thoughts?
I mean, if you had the void at running back, like I think it's fine. I probably would have attempted to trade one of the other quarterbacks. I mean, Stroud has obviously been playing really well. He's third right now in passing yards in the NFL, third in passing yards per game as well. Trevor Lawrence has been up and down, but we know that he has at least a solid floor. Um, I don't hate it if that fills a massive void and makes you a stronger team overall.
Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey has been putting up QB1 numbers anyway. I mean, 26, 23, 23, 49, and then 14 was his down week. So, I mean, you're getting the best player in fantasy football out of it. Yeah, yes, Herbert's been really, really good too, but I still think you're fine at quarterback. Tony Addison on waivers. I've got Diggs, Moore, Ridley, Flowers. Is he worth grabbing?
Who would Moore be? Sky Moore? That's Sky Moore, absolutely.
I'm guessing that's DJ Moore.
Right. Damn it.
I mean, if it would be Flowers, I guess you would be dropping in this scenario. And considering Addison has the path to really being this team's wide receiver, and I get it that obviously
Can we
that's
drop
kind of what Zay
anyone
Flowers
else?
is, but I just think Addison makes more sense now. And just pray that they don't trade Kirk Cousins away, because if they did, then it's everybody's tanked. So that would
Yeah.
be the only concern that I would have is if they traded Kirk Cousins away.
Yeah. Can we drop anyone else? Do we have to drop a receiver to grab Addison?
Yeah. D's nuts. My name is Jeff. Have Richardson. Should I pick up Deshaun, Stafford, or Purdy? I'm gonna go Stafford.
I think I prefer Purdy rest of the season. It's close between those two.
Yeah. Do I trade Saquon with Allen, and who should I target?
Let me scroll up here.
So I guess he's saying with Josh Allen. And then a follow up here, he says, or even Jordan Addison rather than Allen, have Watson on the bench.
Or is that Keenan?
I guess it could be Christian Watson.
All these last names.
Brian, if you could just clarify, I guess, is that Keenan Allen and Christian Watson?
I'll keep an eye out at the bottom of the chat if you want to.
Connor
You're rolling.
Ramondre or Damian Pierce rest of season full PPR.
Pierce.
Yeah, I think so. The truth. Should I start Jeff Wilson this week? I have Damian Pierce, Stevenson starting, McLaughlin on my bench. I'm assuming this would be in the flex, so I want to know what is the rest of your running, or what does the rest of your bench look like? Because I don't want to play necessarily Wilson unless I have to, because I just don't know what that role is going to look like right now, right out the gate anyway. Especially against the Panthers. Don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic matchup. The Panthers are terrible against running backs, but at the same time, I don't know what that role is going to be. So I think he's fine if you had to play. Ray, happy to see Ray back in here.
Yeah.
What running backs do you think I could get while trading away Saquon? I'm worried about him. It's tough with so many injuries. Like with all the because in reality, you have like obviously McCaffrey, which you're not getting, and then you like Pollard, Eckler, Saquon, like maybe a Travis Etienne plus. Like I think if you wanted to do that, like try to get Travis Etienne and then get another piece thrown in with it, another player with
I
that.
would I would not trade ETN plus for Barkley right now.
You'd rather have Barkley,
I'd rather have ETN.
yeah. But I feel like that you might be able to get that done.
I would do it straight up if you couldn't. Just do not feel good about this situation.
Yeah, I agree.
And do you want what about Monty? Monty or Barkley?
I'd rather have Barkley.
So maybe Monty plus then.
Yeah,
Or Ken Walker.
I'm not excited about Kenneth Walker as everybody else is.
Okay. Kyron Williams.
Oh, I would want Saquon.
Swift.
It would have to be Swift plus other players. Like Pacheco, James Cook are all running backs. Brees Hall would definitely be, especially like maybe you wait till after this week and hope that Saquon maybe doesn't play this week and Brees Hall has a bad game because it's not a great matchup against Philly. And then you could probably get because he's coming off that monster game. Like his cost went way up after that game, but Saquon's just in a kind of a weird spot.
It does seem like it is Keenan and Christian for Brian's question.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to trade. I mean, if you're trading Saquon and Keenan Allen,
Like you're getting up into like Tyreek Hill
oh, I
territory.
think. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to do it. I don't know if somebody offered me Tyreek for Saquon Barkley and Keenan Allen, I think I would say no. Mainly because I mean Keenan Allen has been phenomenal, and then I mean
Yeah, no, I'm
Saquon
just
is
saying like if you're pairing those two together, like you're going for elite level
oh for
talent.
sure, but
Yeah.
you better. I would be wanting more back than just that.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Alex, pick one running back PPR: Pierce, White, Roshan. If Roshan's healthy, I'm going with Roshan. If not, I'm going to go with Pierce.
Yep.
I already tried Eckler and Pollard for him.
Well, probably like not in the
Yeah,
same.
separately.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat surprised that the Pollard didn't budge on that, especially with Pollard kind of not being as good. And you really may not. I mean, Travis Etienne is coming off of a 36 PPR point performance as well. So I don't even know if people would do that with Saquon. I don't know. So I guess your best bet might be to look at some of these like smaller, like I said, Pacheco or James Cook, somebody like that. Those kind of, but then add more players into it.
Yeah.
Steven, I ditched Barkley in the two leagues. I had him because the team is ass and the O line is ass. No doubt.
No lie detected.
No. Alex, pick one wide receiver and one flex. Wilson, Flowers, Dell, if healthy, Rashee Rice.
Flowers.
And then who are you flexing?
Oh, Dell if healthy. Oh God. That's probably what I would do. I would just go. I would not play Rice on Thursday night. You know, Philly has given up production to wide receivers, so if Wilson's gonna see double digit targets, all he kind of needs is one to hit, like we saw with the Dallas game where he had like the one catch for 68 yards and a touchdown, right? So that's definitely in the realm of possibility. So I would go Flowers and Dell if he's healthy. If not, just pivot to Wilson.
I'm 1-4 right now.
So one of the trades we were talking about earlier. Still got time. Don't panic.
Yeah. I ditched Olave for McLaurin and Devonta. Well, I'm fine with that. At
Yeah.
first, I saw this McLaurin. I'm like, whoa. But no, I saw the rest. Right, here's my team. Jalen Hurts, Olave, Waddle, Metcalf, Christian Watson, Myers, Barkley, Montgomery, Moss, McLaughlin. Just added Jeff Wilson, Hawkinson, Ravens, the Eagles D, and Fairbairn.
Yeah. I mean, still the level running backs that we were talking about. If you already went after Eckler and Pollard, it didn't work. Probably gonna have to jump down to an ETN, or a Kyron Williams plus Pacheco plus Brees Hall, that level.
Yeah, Barkley's ain't a problem in that team. You just can't trust him all year. Yes, the offense just looks really, really bad. And maybe they want to suppress him so he doesn't hit whatever incentives that he has to be able to
That extra
pay him.
mil that he's set out for.
Yeah. Start
Zach
White
Moss,
or
baby.
Moss at running back.
Zach Moss.
Yeah, I think I agree. Kind of bought low on Ramondre because the schedule is pretty cake now. I traded Javante and Judy for Ramondre and Ford. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, Ramondre could end up being like one of the really solid buy low candidates because it really doesn't take much to try to acquire him. And the thing that people I think have to realize too is like the opportunity cost is gone now, right? Like it doesn't matter anymore. Like if you're trading for him, it doesn't matter where he was because then if he continues to suck for you, you really could just drop him, like because you have no opportunity cost. For other people that may have drafted him in the third or fourth round, it's a little bit different, right? But for you, like you can go out and try to acquire him, and if after 3 or 4 more weeks he sucks, just drop him. But I think Ramondre at this point is one of the best buy low candidates because we know what he's capable of when this offense is right, and he's so incredibly cheap. Trade Saquon and Wilson for Fields and Justin Jefferson. Have Richardson 14 man. I'm third, 8-2.
Oh boy. That is risky, but assuming that you're going from Russell Wilson to Fields, I think I would do it. Because it could end up being the same amount of time that Jefferson misses between Saquon is fully healthy anyway, right? Coming off of this injury and playing on the ankle like you were talking about earlier, Kev. So I think I would. Because in a 14 team, especially, Fields is going to generally give you that positional advantage over the majority of your league. So as long as you can take, and especially in a 14 team, if you can take that hit at running back, because obviously you're not getting a running back in return, right? So if you're able to just like take that absolute zero and you feel comfortable doing it, I think you could. Just know that side is risky with Jefferson. Like he could, there is a non-0% chance that you don't get Jefferson back, right?
Yeah, that's the part that worries me. Is just that last part
Yeah.
is him not coming
Yeah.
back and then feeling like he just gave up way too much. So Lawrence, Breeze, Jacobs, Kamara, Diggs, Waddle, Laporta, feeling thin at wide receivers, not overly confident at Waddle rest season, so we'll be looking for a higher end wide receiver too, fringe wide receiver, Waddle.
I know Anthony had something earlier. I don't know if this is related or not. So I'm scrolling up. I thought Anthony had something earlier. It'd be nice if there was a search button. Maybe should have StreamYard. Ask for a search.
It's sell high on Kamara Swift. Who should I target?
Good call. I must have skimmed past it. Who's the other one? Kamara and who?
Swift.
Yeah, I mean, with having Brees and Jacobs, obviously you can certainly consider it, right? Like in this situation, what I would do, I would just put both on the trade block, Anthony, and see, because you can obviously afford to send one of those away with Brees and Jacobs. So I put both on your trade block, say looking for a wide receiver, and then just take the deal you're most comfortable with. Because there's definitely going to be people who are willing to pay for those running backs, especially with the landscape right now. You're sitting in a good spot to be able to do that.
We got Steven in here just dropping bars.
That one made me laugh. It's a good one. 20-inch blades on the Impala.
Brandon, Pacheco tomorrow, or wait and see if Barkley plays. I think it's close enough regardless.
Pacheco.
And the situation here, actually, for this week with Saquon, I would just not risk it and just play Isaiah Pacheco at this point. Because I think there's enough uncertainty there with Barkley. While it is a good matchup, he is still kind of limiting these limited practices. And like I said, that ankle was still heavily taped today. Kind of concerns me a little bit. So I think I just take the shot and just go with Isaiah Pacheco.
I mean, if you already have another tight end, if Njoku's on your bench, I would just drop Njoku. Oh, streaming Jonnu in case Watson's out. I mean, like, I still think you could drop Njoku. That offense has not been great.
Yeah, I think he'd probably be okay if you wanted to do that.
And then just stream the rest of the year.
Joey Man Pluto, trade Saquon and Michael Thomas for Kamara. No.
It's close though.
I just don't have any interest in Michael Thomas at all, So if it was somebody different, maybe. But I just don't have any interest in Michael Thomas.
Yeah. Should I trade Jefferson and Allen for Chase and Tua? I have Tyreek, so I have the stack. I mean, with the situation that Jefferson's in right now, I would.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting Jamar Chase back too. It's completely looking over that. So, yeah, I mean, a player that, like I said, there is legitimate concern that Justin Jefferson doesn't return this year, just with their whole entire situation, everything going on there.
Yeah, there's some crazy sound in my house right now. I gotta go check this out.
Hopefully, you come back. All right, pick one wide receiver, two running backs, one flex. Amari, Godwin, Jacoby, Tank Dell, McLaurin, Brees, JT, Saquon, Kamara. So at wide receiver, I'm going to go with if Deshaun Watson were to play, it would be Amari Cooper. If he does not, I'm going to go with Chris Godwin. The two running backs is going to be, if he plays, it's going to be Saquon and Kamara. If Saquon doesn't play, I'm going to go Kamara and Brees Hall. Just tough with Brees Hall this week. Don't really love the matchup that he is going to be seeing this week. Like we kind of talked about already with Brees Hall, if you watch right back video, the Philadelphia Eagles have been elite against the run this year. And so I don't really love that. Obviously, he is Brees Hall and could break one off at any moment. But that's kind of the way I would look at it. And then at the flex, I would go with Jacoby Myers. Do you see it any differently?
No, sorry, heart still racing. Thought I was gonna go have to crack some skulls.
What did you think it was?
Dude, I didn't know what it was, man. It sounded like something was like rocking or like shaking something, but apparently it was my dog just like fucking coughing or choking on something. Because I obviously had the headphones on, my door shut, so I couldn't hear. It literally sounded like something was like just being like rocked. So I was freaking out. And then I saw a text from Katie that just said, "Are you still up?" I was like, Jesus Christ, there's someone at the fucking door. You know what I mean? Like I thought, all right, we're good. Let's move on.
Ready to throw them bows. Okay. Or should I trade Jefferson and Rashad White for AJ Brown and Mixon? If you can trade Jefferson and Rashad White for AJ Brown, absolutely, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Little boy blue trade Saquon and Michael Thomas for Kamara. I want more. Like you need more. I think. Like I get it. Kamara's back and everything like that, but Kamara really has been that efficient, and he's really been boosted by that big, especially PPR formats, that big 14 target game that he had. Not that he was bad last week either. He's still averaging 20 fantasy points per game, but I feel like you're giving up too much for Kamara.
Yeah, if you can get a different piece.
Alex, appreciate your advice. I'm liking Rice's matchup versus Denver, so think I should sit him. I
I don't mind the matchup. So if you want to throw him in there,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
go for it.
obviously, we say this all the time. It's your fantasy team. You got to trust your gut. And if that's who you want to go with, then go with it. The matchup is good. Like, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but it's just usage hasn't necessarily been there. And we're talking about a guy that's been seeing 5 targets a game. Like, that's just not enough to get there. It really limits his ceiling unless something special happens, unless he catches multiple touchdowns on those 5 targets. Like, so it makes it tough to trust him. Like I said, I really do like the matchup, but that's just, I don't know if that's something that I would, it just makes it tough to play him because of that. Should I keep or drop Spears, Algier, McLaughlin, PPR? I would keep.
Think long term, I would rank them how you have them. Like for the rest of the season, I think I would want McLaughlin last, just because he has Javante and P Ryan ahead of him. Like whereas with Spears and Algier, you're looking like you need one injury, right, um to have that massive upside.
Gator, need to drop 2 for a kicker. Just don't play a kicker.
Um yeah, I mean I don't really want to drop two of these. Yeah, I think you could drop Justice Hill.
I guess it would be Elijah Mitchell and Justice Hill.
Yeah.
Or I guess is it? I mean, I assume is this just for bye weeks or something? I guess I would ask like what your record is. Like if you're like 5-0 or something, like I wouldn't care. Like I would just not drop anybody if I don't have to. I feel like you're helping out other people by dropping these players. People are going to pick them up, but I get it. Most people are in that position. You have to make it. You have to, make those moves. You don't want to lose a week, so I get it. Olave or Metcalf rest of season.
Olave.
I'm gonna go Metcalf.
Just have to be different, don't you?
Would you try trading away Barkley and either Metcalf or Olave and get like Swift and Adams? Yeah,
If I
I
can
mean,
get Swift and Adams, yeah,
yeah,
I
I'm
would do that.
definitely fine with that. Millie Mills. I offered Kyron and Swift for Diggs. I got Josh Allen. The other guy declined it. Yeah, that's that. I mean that's pretty fair.
I could see declining it too. You know what I mean? Kyron, little up and down. Swift has cooled off a little bit. Diggs has been on a little bit of a heater.
Yeah, and I
Obviously that comes down to what the running back situation is on the other team, right? Like if the other team is like fine on running backs, like I can definitely see declining it, but I could also see that one getting through as well. I think that was a fair trade.
yeah. As of right now, I have to start McLaughlin, Roshan Johnson, or Justice Hill as my RB2 this week. I have to love fantasy football. CD, do I drop Najee or Miles Sanders for Jeff Wilson? I'm gonna say no.
As much as we've been ragging on Najee, I would not do it for either. I would just keep Jeff Wilson down there. And if those are the only two you can drop, your team is in a good situation, and you likely don't need Jeff Wilson.
So one person has ETN and JT on their team, so definitely could try to get maybe one of them. But how do you guys feel about if? So that's actually something I didn't think about in terms of all the Barkley common questions about trading him
Yeah,
away.
that
Jonathan
was
Taylor is actually one that I think that I would actually feel really because we've seen how good Zach and let me be honest, Zach Moss is actually not good at football. Well, but he is on a good he's on a really good run right now. But Jonathan Taylor, once he gets a full workload and ramp up, their offensive line is playing significantly better than what it was. Um, and so I just think that like Jonathan Taylor does make some sense. But I mean, for the most part, Zach Moss in his career has not been good. Like he had opportunities in Buffalo, did absolutely nothing with them, but he has been fantastic this year with this team and this offense and everything that's been going on. But Jonathan Taylor, I do think would be one that I think you could definitely look to acquire because the offense is
not.
just overall it's better. I mean, the Giants' offense is so bad, and so it really just worries me there with Saquon. Hunter, I got sick. Kamara, Jordan Addison, Chris Olave for Devonta Adams. Should I accept?
Mm,
I'm
I
okay
think I
with this.
would.
I think you have to.
I think I would. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, Devontae Adams has been really good outside of last week, but it's just that's a lot.
And if Olave and Carr get back on track, I think those other two pieces can make up the difference for sure.
Sorry, guys, I'm blowing the feet up, but I'm just bored eating these cheesies.
What
Hey,
are what are cheese what are cheesies, Steven? I want to know what cheesies are.
yeah, and you are all good. Alex, Charbonnet on my waiver. Should I drop Algier or McLaughlin for him? Yes, I would drop. I would probably drop Algier. I don't know. Now I think
I
about
would
it, I don't know.
drop. I would drop McLaughlin.
Yeah, it's just he's been pretty solid.
He has, but like I said, now with Javante coming back, like is that going to be like a three-headed headache that we're dealing with on a week-to-week basis? Like he obviously has more juice right now than either P Ryan or Javante Williams, but we saw Algier last year be a really good running back. So if anything were to happen to Bijan, it's obviously wheels up for him. Now, if you need someone that you could, potentially spot start, then I think you could consider dropping Algier. Like if you're looking one of those two is like plugging into like your RB2 or flex on a week to week basis, I think you could look at dropping Algier and playing, McLaughlin in like in a flex type spot. But if these are just like stashes, long term stashes for upside, I would drop McLaughlin.
Expert clip. Should I give up Kyron and lock it for no?
Assuming that you're fine at running back because Kyron is either a last round draft pick or you picked him up off of waivers. If you're fine at running back and you want to take the risk, I think you could.
I mean, I think you can. It's just worries the hell out of me with the
Oh,
comments and the
absolutely.
rhetoric that's been going around about him. Like, I would hate to give up these players and it be for absolutely nothing. Like obviously on the surface, if we knew 100% Justin Jefferson was coming back in 4 weeks, absolutely. Like I make that trade all day. If you can make it, if you're in a good spot, if you're 4-1 or something like that, yes. Because once Justin Jefferson were to return, I mean, we know what his upside, how elite he can be. But like I've said, I'm also really concerned that they would trade away Kirk Cousins. They have nothing to play for. Kirk Cousins is a free agent after this year. Like it makes sense for them to try to move on from him now if they know they're not going anywhere, and maybe you can get something for him. You can get some sort of draft pick or something like that. And if that were to happen, it would be all bad for whether Justin Jefferson came back or not, because their quarterback situation behind him uh, isn't good. And so, let me see, just so I can clarify, who is their backup quarterback? I know it ain't Kellen Mond's ass anymore. It is Javen Hall. Sorry, excuse me, Jaron. I was reading that from a distance. Jaron Hall is
Kid
their
from BYU.
yeah. So yeah, it wouldn't be great.
Not a great bum.
So there's a lot of things here, like to unpack with that. Like it is 1,000% a gamble, and you could hit a home run with it, or you could just be pissed off because you gave up 2 quality pieces for a player that never plays this again the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Ronaldo, hi. Would you flex half point PPR? Rashee Rice or Josh Downs? Thank you.
Josh Downs for me.
With this one being a half point PPR, I will go with Rashee Rice because I think he has a better shot of scoring a touchdown where it becomes a little bit more valuable. I
Makes
think
sense.
Flowers finally hits Bader. Yeah, I mean, eventually he's going to. Do I think it's going to happen this week? I don't know.
The matchup is there for sure.
Yeah, this is one of the better matchups he's going to see all year. Like you throw the football against them, against the Titans.
Yeah.
Ray, maybe Barkley, Myers, and Moss for Jacobs and DJ Moore. They also have Hall. I already sent a trade for Moss and Myers for Hall, but not sure if they would accept.
I think you're getting a little too greedy there, trying to slip DJ Moore into that. Like I would just try and do it like a straight up type thing. Like I just me personally, instead of like trying to add in all these other pieces.
Yeah. Smokey the Cat. Trade Brees to get Debo. No, absolutely not.
I'm a Brees.
Yeah. Like I get it. You already have Bijan and Jacobs and Gibbs and Roshan and Najee and Charbonnet, like you're doing really well there, and your wide receivers are a little bit sus. But I'm not. If I was going to trade Brees Hall, I want so like I slid that in there, like isn't that what the kids are saying? Is that what the kids say? Isn't that what the kids say now? For I don't want Debo. And like I said, I mean Brees Hall could absolutely smash down the stretch.
Yeah.
So Raymond, hey, I just did a trade. I got Tyreek and Gabe Davis. I gave up Chase and Pittman. I think I would rather have had the Chase and Pittman side, but it's not terrible by any means. I get it. Tyreek Hill has been phenomenal, but
Yeah.
Chase can put up the same similar production rest of season as Tyreek, and then Pittman. I prefer him every day over Gabe Davis. So
Yeah. I
it's
don't
not
mind it, though.
terrible. Like you didn't get
Yeah.
fleeced or anything like that, but I would have preferred the other side. Any idea if Texans O line gets its starter back? Yeah, I mean they should.
They got two. They got two back last week.
Yeah, and I think because Scruggs isn't back yet, right?
I don't think so. They got Howard and Tunsil back last week.
Yes, and we should be seeing Scruggs, their rookie center, should be back here within the next week or two. So
I'd say great.
I also sent trades of Moss and Myers for Pacheco. Taking any shots because you never know. Yeah, so I think it's not a bad idea to send out some scatter shot trade offers, see if you can get somebody to accept one of them.
Yep.
C Crip. I don't feel like we've seen C Crip in a while. Maybe we have. Huh?
Say Crip.
Hey guys, should I keep this lineup as a full PPR? Debo, Devontae, Henry, Mixon, and Walker. I have Flowers, McLaurin, Myers, and London on the bench. Should I substitute any of them?
Crip also has D Hop as well.
No, I leave it the way you have it.
Yep.
Chuck Norris is at the door.
We're about to be kung fu fighting, man.
This one person has Keenan Allen, but also Aaron Jones, the only good running back, and they probably would want Barkley, but Aaron Jones doesn't seem good enough.
No, I want Barkley over Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I agree. Let's try this again. Should I put Barkley, Keenan Allen, or Jordan Addison on the block looking for a running back? I have Christian Watson on the back. Derrick Henry is my starter.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly could. I wouldn't want to do Keenan Allen with the way that it looks right now, with you only having Addison and Christian Watson. That'd be a little bit too far of a drop, because then you're either going to be, going now you're looking like an RB2 type to be able to get a wide receiver in return. So I would just put up Barkley. Addison is interesting just with the buzz surrounding him right now, but I would just put Barkley up and see if you can get like we were going through some of the other trade offers, like a JT, a Kyron plus Swift, kind of go through that way and see if someone would pay up for Barkley or swap you for Barkley at running back.
Would you do Barkley? Would you Brees for Barkley?
I think I would. Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah, and maybe you just do kind of what some other people have been doing. Just fire them out there. Just torpedo it out there and just send as many as you can. And just kind of, see if anybody bites. Or at least you can start a conversation with somebody on, maybe a counter or something like that to see what you can do there. Because the dude still has a lot of value. I get it, he's coming off an injury, but I mean, week one, he still scored almost 20 fantasy points that first week. So, it's still Saquon Barkley. So, and believe me, there are definite teams out there that definitely need running backs for sure. Joe, start to ETN, Swift, Cook, or Mostert. ETN is a lot.
And Mostert.
Yeah, I agree. Sucks because I really like the other one. But whatever. Do I start Burrow or Lamar? Do I start Schultz and Everett?
Oh,
I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow here. Um,
yeah. You also have Lamar and company traveling to London, so go Burrow, and I will go Schultz.
because I just feel like the Bengals and Seahawks game kind of has some shootout potential, which is what you'd want, what you'd be looking for here. So I don't know. I think that's the way I would go. And if Tank Dell misses, I think I'm gonna go with Dalton Schultz.
Yeah. I'll go Schultz either way because Everett's usage has been frustrating, and it's Donald Parham who's been getting the red zone looks. I think it's gonna with the Arizona backfield. I think it's gonna end up being a split of some sort. Whoever it ends up being, like I don't think we're looking at either of those running backs being like a 75% opportunity type of guy. I think it ends up being, like I said, some sort of split. I'm with Kev. I lean Demarcado. Ingram kind of is what he is. He's never really done much with any of the opportunities he's been giving. It's not like Connor hasn't been banged up while he's been there. Think DeMarcado has more juice as well.
I
So
think something that people need to remember is last year James Conner was hurt and missed time, and Ingram wasn't the starter. Ingram wasn't the guy. They went with Corey Clement and Eno Benjamin over him, and then they dropped Eno Benjamin. Like that's how much they loved about Keontae Ingram. That's what people like. We act like we haven't been here before with Keontae Ingram, and he still wasn't given that opportunity. I get it that DeMarcado is a UDFA, but I mean, he is like he was like after the game, they talked about how much they loved him and how well he played. He did really good in training camp. There was some buzz about him in training camp and preseason. I mean, he made the roster, which is already an uphill battle for any UDFA. And so I mean, and he wasn't just a UDFA. I mean, he wasn't even invited to the combine or nothing. Like he really came out of nowhere during the opportunity. And so that's why I know what Keontae Ingram is, and he sucks, right? And so, like, he's not good. And so, like, I would rather have the other guy and take a shot on him. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. People act like people go and have spent all this crazy capital to be able to get him. Like, if he works out, cool. If he doesn't, it's not that big of a deal. But I just think the upside is much higher with Demercado, who's also shown to be a really good pass catcher out of the backfield as well. This is James Cook, and it's not even close.
Cook for me as well.
Last trade option, would you trade? Would you do Saquon for? Yes, yeah, I'm fine with trading Saquon for JT.
Yeah.
Amigos, cheesies, they're just burritos with all cheese and a little beans. Sounds delicious to me.
Yeah. Never heard of that.
No, I live in the most exciting, dangerous place in the world, Nebraska.
Also, not a place I would expect to find cheesies either.
Yeah, that's funny.
That doesn't seem like a local delicacy.
Full PPR flex: Devontae Smith, Deonta Foreman, or Christian Kirk. It's gonna be Smith for me.
So I was looking at KJ Osborne's career game log to see how many like bigger games he's had. Smitty.
Itty bitty South City.
Let's go.
14 team, halfway PPR. Brees Hall, Kyron Williams, JT, DJ Moore. Need 2 running backs and a flex. So Kyron Williams. I'm going to go Brees Hall and DJ Moore in the flex.
Yep.
Obviously, I want a few more weeks with JT before as he's ramping up before I really feel confident with putting him into my lineup. How about I give up Amon-Ra Stevenson for James Cook, Josh Allen, Garrett Wilson? It's on the table. Just haven't decided. So I would rather split the Cup and Puka pairing than I would keep, rather than giving up Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. Amon-Ra is the best player in that deal.
But I don't mind the return. Obviously, I don't know who you have at quarterback, but Josh Allen, obviously, it's hard to get much better than him
Right.
anyways. James Cook, top 15 running back, and then Garrett Wilson, I think he'll be up and down. But if they were to acquire Kirk Cousins, he is back into the top 10 wide receiver discussion very quickly. As with Texas line improving, you guys feel Pierce is a better play over White, PPR. It's not just that; it's also just an incredibly bad matchup for Rashad White.
And he
And
has not been good.
Detroit's defense has been phenomenal against the run this year, so that's more or less anything of the reason why. Start one: Swift, Hall, James Cook.
Cook.
Yep, I agree. Back over to Twitch. How can I trade for JJ? I'm 4-1.
I I'm asking for the roster. We haven't gone it yet.
Yeah, I think roster would really help here, but I wouldn't want to trade for. Like I said, like I just don't know if I wanted to trade for him. I don't know. It's tough.
And also, it's going to depend on the team that has Jefferson, right? Like, obviously, if they're sitting at 2 and 3, 1 and 4, might be more likely to trade him for a discount. Where if it's like another team that's sitting at 4 and 1, might just be willing to hold on and what I mean, and just wait and see what happens.
Monty Waddle or Thielen at my flex. It's gonna be Monty.
Yeah, it's gonna be money.
I just want to keep Puka and Cup together, so I have insurance on the other. And I've been streaming quarterbacks. I mean, I think that they can definitely both coexist when it comes to those two, right? Like we've seen it multiple times before. We've seen it, with Sean McVay offenses. I mean, Jared Goff was able to sustain Robert Woods and Cooper Cup at the time. Like, they're definitely fine to have them together. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I just don't want to get rid of Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I guess I would also ask, why are you wanting to make a trade? Like, what's the reason you're wanting to make a trade? Because overall, it seems like you have quite a bit of really quality talent. I don't know if there's even a reason to make a trade at this point. And I know you, and I guess you've been streaming quarterbacks. So you really want a quarterback, but I hate trading for quarterbacks. Like with
Yeah,
as bye weeks continue to roll, you're going to see more and more people, starting to drop quarterbacks after especially people that like, for example, that had Justin Herbert. Some of these guys start to get dropped. Like you're going to start seeing the backup quarterbacks get bit thin. And if you're already in a good spot, I just wouldn't change it. I just hate trading for quarterbacks in single quarterback leagues.
yeah.
Hey, should I trade Kyron, Olave, Lockett, Rashad White for Justin Jefferson, Wilson, and Pierce? No.
No. Hey, Kanoa.
Aloha, sit one. Mixon, Kyron, Kamara, Demont. Let's sit Mixon. And there's going to come a time like he does it every year. He has this game where he just goes
The
absolutely nuclear and scores
54. Yeah,
50 points. But I'm playing Kyron, Kamara, and David Montgomery.
yeah. Glad to see Kanoa in here. Hope you and your family. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all away from the stuff that happened in Hawaii. Was thinking about Kanoa. Glad to see you back in here.
Yeah. They finally started to use pitch. John is still available to stream. Conklin, Everett, Otten, or Fance. Probably Conklin.
Uh,
I mean, I think Gerald Everett's also an option. Um, I know he hasn't been great, but coming out the bye, losing Mike Williams, I think more opportunities are going to be there. So, like Gerald Everett, I think isn't a bad play either.
If Mike Evans misses, I think Kadon is interesting as well.
Yeah, I would probably just lean Everett just because of the matchup and script and everything else there. Kevin Fields, Jacobs, Kyron, ETN, Kamara, Chase, Keenan, wide receivers. DJ
Stacked.
Moore, Andrews, 10 team, PPR, start 3 wide receivers.
If you're starting 3 wide receivers, I don't know that I want to go after JJ in this scenario. If you're starting 3, then I'm assuming that means you can also flex one of them. And with being able to roll out those 4 wide receivers, that is really nice in a full PPR. So I don't know that I'd want to do it. I mean, if I were going to do it, it'd probably just be DJ Moore, just because I don't know how sustainable his production is. But I would want something on top of JJ because you're taking all the risk. It's going to be something small, but I would want Justin Jefferson in like a small bench piece, especially considering the tear that DJ Moore has been on, like on par with Justin Jefferson type production.
Fu, Atwell, or Palmer rest of season? I'm
Ooh,
gonna go
this is
Palmer here.
actually an interesting question though. I would lean Palmer as well because he has the clearer path to targets, but I do think Atwell is sneaky if he like gets dropped, because obviously that's the entire reason why Van Jefferson was shipped out of town, because the 3 wide receiver sets is now featuring Tutu Atwell, not Van Jeff. So,
That is true.
but like I said, Palmer much clearer path, assuming Cup stays healthy. We need 2 here for Canoa, Madison, Mixon, Cook, and Hall. So it's going to be Mixon and Cook for me.
Yes. Who'd you go with?
Mixon and Cook.
Yeah, I agree. That's who I'm gonna go with.
Rate the team for expert X clips. Herbert, Jacobs, Raheem, Puka, AJ Olave, Kittle, and on the bench we have Amari, Lockett, Kyron, and Rashad.
Excellent work here.
Yeah, really nice. And I would
And
leave
you
that.
said who should
I
I
would leave
start?
that.
I think you leave it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nobody here that I see that you should be starting over somebody else. So I think you have it set the way that it should be.
Flowers or Nico?
I'm gonna go Nico.
I do have Nico like 2 spots ahead of Flowers. I don't think I've gotten to say Zay Flowers much at all tonight, and it makes me sad. What time should I set my alarm for next week? So, how many hours? What's the time difference to Hawaii? But 10:15 ish, 10:30 ish Wednesday nights Eastern Standard Time. And then we also go live on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern
I
for
believe it's
start.
8 hours behind the East Coast. I believe.
Damn. So 5 hours behind the West Coast?
I think so.
That's wild. So either way, Kanoa, like 10:15, 10:30 Eastern on Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings at 11, sometimes 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, that seemed wild. 6 hours. So
Millie Mills, I need a wide receiver. What can I trade to get one? Josh Allen, Bijan, Swift, Kyron, Ryan Robinson, Higgy, Olave, Godwin, D Hop, McLaurin, Dobbs. Yeah, definitely need a wide receiver. But I mean, so obviously you have a bunch of wide receiver twos. Um,
I would try and sell high on like D Hop and then pair him with Brian Robinson if you can. Like D Hop, Kyron, maybe if you had to. But Godwin really only has the one good week. I do think Olave bounces back, so I think he'll be fine as your wide receiver one, wide receiver two rest of the season. But yeah, I would try and sell high on D Hop and then pair him with one of your bottom two running backs.
yeah, or like D Hop and yeah, I think it's fine. Maybe like a CD Lamb or something like that. Yeah, I think some of this is just like because Higgins and the Bengals offense was terrible, that he's been hurt. But I
And
think
he got
after their
hurt.
bye, I think you can feel really good about T. Higgins for the most part, rest of the season. The injuries, everything else, the Chris Olave. Like your wide receiver, you're not in bad shape at wide receiver. Like you have quite a bit of depth. I think I don't think like it's an absolute must that you have to go out and try to like go out and get a top of the line wide receiver. But if I was going to make some moves, it would probably be trying to move off DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's going to be volatile week to week, and he's coming off his best week of the year. So, like something like that, maybe get some other pieces. But I think that is really where you would
Yeah.
look. So, good night. Catch you guys live as always. Thank you both. Appreciate you, Foo. Steven, I'm out of here, but I liked and subscribe. Jesus. Peace out. Thanks for the chat. Late.
Thanks for
And we're
joining,
going
Steven.
now for 3 hours. But
Telling us about cheesies.
yeah, hey, hope to see you again next week or on Sunday. We go live every Sunday mornings too. So, Legendary Pestrel, you guys are going late. We are. Hopefully, we're about
This is the
done.
last one.
Because this has been going a long time. Brian just offered countered Saquon and Allen for Brees Hall and T. Higgins. Can't do it, right?
No, I couldn't do that.
So, I think if you're going to like, it's a starting point. Because, like I said, like I really like Brees Hall rest of season and T. Higgins. Now he doesn't equal up to like, but I think they would have to add another player into that, like a really
Let's,
decent piece to where I would start to like, okay, now we're working with something here.
yeah.
Because Keenan Allen has just been so good, but he also scares the shit out of me because he's 31 years old and dealt with a ton of soft tissue injuries in his career. And so, like, I don't know. So that's the only thing I would say. But I think you're starting to develop something. Like, I wouldn't accept that. I would counter.
Yeah. Yep.
Legendary 14 team. I snap traded Jefferson for Miles Sanders and Godwin, Hatfield, and DJ Moore as my starters and Swift trap. I think you could have got more.
Yeah.
That feels like about as low. 5-0 had to. Yeah, I think you could have got a little bit more for Justin Jefferson.
I mean, a 14 teamer does make it
Yeah, tougher.
tough,
Yeah.
but
Now, if Justin Jefferson doesn't play the rest of the year, then you win no matter what because
right.
there's nothing you. I mean, you won the trade, so yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, you guys rock. Thanks. Hey, appreciate everybody rocking with this. 5-0 had to. I get it. So that being said, I appreciate we've been going for over 3 hours, answered all the questions, got everything answered here. Hope everybody has a good rest of the week. We'll be live again tomorrow for the DFS show with me and Maddie breaking down the week 6 main slate. And also, we're excited to talk about this tomorrow, but our lineup that we made, if you would have put that in on DraftKings, it finished over 200 DK points. So it was a very solid lineup. And so for last week. So that was good to see. But we will be going live again on Sunday morning to answer all your questions. Cody, are you guys doing the prop talk this week or no?
Should be.
Okay. So on Saturday night, we do the prop talk. So if you're into props, we will have that too as well. So that being said, appreciate everybody rocking with us. Appreciate all the like and subscribes. If you haven't done so, please do so. It really helps us out. It's all we ask for. That being said, have everybody have a good night, and we will see you very soon. He would have to give up Waddle, even if that's worth it. So if you included Waddle in that, Brees Hall, Higgins, and Waddle for Saquon and Allen, I think I would do it.
Yeah, but then I also think you're probably going to have to add something to the Saquon side then, right?
Maybe. I would
Saquon
counter with that and see what happens. So, anyways,
good luck, Brian.
Yeah, let us know, Brian. If not, you can jump into the Discord. It's in all of our videos. There's a link for it that you can join if you want to keep conversation going. Or you can comment in any one of our videos too. So either way, everybody have a good night. We'll see you on the next one.